season-long journey follows a path to greatness. A destination. A dream. A quest for excellence. It's your time. A time to compete for a place in Nebraska sports history. Great moments are earned here. Play like a champion. Welcome to the NSAA State Football Championships on NET.
NET Sports, Nebraska's home for championship sports, is live from Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska for the Class D2 State Championship as Falls City Sacred Heart, the Irish, take on the Broncos of Stuart, who come in at 11-1. And good afternoon, everybody. Along with former Husker Damon Benning, I'm Larry Putney. Good to have you with us for our second of 3 state championship showdowns today. Falls City Sacred Heart taking on Stuart, a couple of quarterbacks who are very impressive in this game. And we start with Chaz Dunn.
Absolutely. He's a guy that amassed over 1,700 yards passing, accounted for 31 touchdowns, and he's not bad on the ground either with 400 yards. Anytime you run that spread, zone read attack, you need to be a good decision maker. They're very good and adept in the controlled passing game as well. So you know the deal with Dunn is he's very efficient and very smart.
Stuart, first time they have ever been at Memorial Stadium, and they'll look to their quarterback, Alex Coons.
Yeah, Coons, he truly puts the dual in dual threat. He can get you a couple of different ways. He's amassed 1,200 yards on the ground. He's got 1,700 in the air. They run a lot of veer and a lot of zone read as well. So he's equally got to be a good decision maker on give and keeps with that offense. They're going to have to churn out some yards on the ground and control the clock here. I don't think they want to give the ball to Falls City Sacred Heart too much and put that defense behind the 8 ball.
Should be a good show. A couple of great quarterbacks we're going to see here this afternoon. You know, both of these teams, first time ever they've been at Memorial Stadium, but there's a little bit more history on the side of Falls City Sacred Heart. For that, let's go down to John Bishop.
You're exactly right, Larry. 6 straight football championships back in the early 90s. In addition, in the last 25 years, 8 basketball championships, 6 track titles, all of them coached by Doug Goltz, today's head coach for the Irish. But today marks that the first time in the football era in Memorial Stadium that the Falls City Sacred Heart Irish will be here, and that has not lost the attention of Coach Goltz, who says he admits a little envy of some of the coaches who've had a chance to coach here before. This will be his first opportunity. He also has experience on his side with 10 seniors. Stuart comes into today's game with just 1 senior. However, so many of these guys who are sophomores today were freshmen last year on a team that had only 12 players on the roster. They have 17 this year, and I know those extra 5 don't sound like a lot, but believe me, it represents a ton to a Stuart program who not only has never played in a championship game in football, this is their first boys championship game of any kind in any sport in the school's history.
All right, thanks very much, John. It is an interesting dynamic in that you have a team that has so much history, but these players and this coach have never been at Memorial Stadium before, and Stuart's no different.
Yeah, not high on the relatability factor with these guys that are currently here in 2013. But the key that these guys have to draw in is, we talked about this in game 1, is you got to embrace the moment. You can't be overwhelmed by it. You got to have open arms and be good to go once that whistle blows.
Let's talk about the 2 quarterbacks in this game. We mentioned them up front. Chaz Dunn for Falls City Sacred Heart. You mentioned it, Damon. 1,700 yards through the air, about 400 on the ground, 73% completion rating. Those big guys have to have big games.
Yeah, they do, and they play pretty good pitch and catch at Falls City Sacred Heart, and they've got a tremendous size advantage, especially in the interior lines. A lot bigger for the Irish. So will they choose to ground it out, or will they want to stay with what got them here and not stow the ball? But Stuart pass defense has been pretty sound this year.
And then you have Alex Coons for the Stuart Broncos. The Broncos coming in at 11-1 in the season. Their only loss came early on to Wynot, 44-22. By the way, Wynot was the team that was beaten by Falls City Sacred Heart to get here, so they have some comparative scores we can lean on. But you look at Coons, the quarterback, the gaudy numbers, almost 3,000 total yards between rushing and passing this season.
Yeah, and it'll be a day for alliteration if Coons is going to have the type of day that he needs to get those guys a victory with Mitchell, Mason, and Micah. That's Dvorak, Dexter, and Dexter squared.
Right. So it should be a good one between #1 ranked and seeded Falls City Sacred Heart. The Irish, as we said, got here with the win over Wynot in the semifinal. Falls City Sacred Heart knocking them off. And the only loss on the season for Stuart came at the hands of Wynot, 44-22. In the fourth game of the year, the only loss that Stuart faced, and this was a really young team. You heard John Bishop talk about it at the top. They only have 12 players out for football. They went 4-4 last year, and so coming back and getting to this point was a bit of a surprise. Time now to introduce you to the two teams, and for that, let's go to our public address announcer. Here's Doc Weinig.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Nebraska School Activities Association and its member schools, welcome to Memorial Stadium for the 2013 NSAA State Championship game. Today's game features the Falls City Sacred Heart Irish versus the Broncos of Stuart High School. And now let's meet the players and coaches competing in today's game. Sawyer Kane, number 27, Henry Arnold, number 34, Logan Scheidel, number 35, Chaz Dunn, number 40, Sean Strassheim, number 42, Zavin Kirkendall, number 44, Jared Figner, number 45, Brandon Schwong, number 50, Sam Arnold, number 56, Dalton Witt, number 68, Eli Raymer, number 73, Daniel Keithley, number 82, Joshua Freschel, number 85, Reggie Johansson, number 88, Wyatt Martin, number 90, Ben Mullins. And now, the head coach for the Irish is Doug Goltz. Please welcome the rest of the Irish players and coaches to the field.
So there's your Falls City Sacred Heart Irish. They come in 12-0 on the season. The win over Wynot 61-44 in the semifinal to get them here to this state championship game to take on the Stuart Broncos, which come in at 11-1. Here's a look at these two teams. You see Stuart averaging nearly 60 a game and allowing 12. Falls City Sacred Heart scoring 41, giving up 18. Now time to introduce you to the Broncos from Stuart. And for that, back to Doc Weinig.
Now let's meet the players for the home team, the Stuart Broncos. Number 1, Chase Broders. Number 2, Mitchell Dvorak. Number 7, Alex Coons. Number 9, Mason Dexter. Number 10, Austin Moore. Number 12, Micah Dexter. Number 22, Tate Schmatter. Number 25, Cale Creasel. Number 27, Connor Paxton. Number 29, Trevor Raw. Number 30, Andrew Olson. Number 35, Matthew Dickow. Number 36, Franklin Bessler. Number 48, Patrick Van Meter. Number 51, Slater Swanson. Number 55, Logan Olson. Number 77, Christopher Van Meter. Head coach for the Broncos is Lance Howitt. He's assisted by Dexter Goodner and John Schmatter. Today's game officials, the referee is Darrell Lindsay. The umpire is Jason Byerman. The linesman is David Kuntz. The line judge is Stephen Martini. And the back judge is Dale Drahoda.
So that's a look at the Stuart Broncos. They come in at 11-1 on the season. Head coach Lance Howitt in his 11th season, 68-38. Grew up in Bridgeport, went to UNK to school, spent about 13 years in Colorado, and glad to be back here in the state of Nebraska. Let's take a look at these two teams, and we'll see where they are located. Stuart about 30 miles west of O'Neill in the northeastern part of the state, and of course Falls City in the extreme southeast part of Nebraska. And here is how they got to the state championship game. Stuart knocked off Medicine Valley in a win over Amherst in the semis. Falls City Sacred Heart knocking off Wynot 61-44 in its semifinal game. Wynot, by the way, a team that Stuart lost to. The only loss on the season for the Stuart Broncos came to Wynot in game number 4. Now let's go back to Doc Weidiger for the introduction of our national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. At this time, we would ask that you please rise and remove your hats to honor America with the singing of our national anthem. Singing the anthem this afternoon will be the Elm Creek High School Mixed Sextet, directed by Mrs. Peggy Lowe.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glow, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The mixed sextet from Elm Creek with our national anthem. When we come back, opening kickoff. Number 1, Falls City Sacred Heart taking on the Stuart Broncos for the Class D2 state championship. Coming your way right here on NET Sports.
School's almost over. What's next? I mean, what are my choices? I want to find something I love, so I can make a life for myself. And then I can give back. So, how do I get there?
Take the next step with Education Quest College Planning Services by visiting educationquest.org.
Over the years, the Nebraska Chiropractic Physicians Association has supported many Nebraska athletes by helping them excel physically. But the mental game is just as important. That's why we're pleased to sponsor the NSAA Academic All-State Award Program, recognizing students and athletes who shine in the classroom and as leaders. We're proud to team up with these exceptional individuals. Together we can continue to make Nebraska a great place to live, learn, and play.
I'm Kevin Kugler. Be with us for the next Big Red Wrap-Up as we recap the Husker-Penn State game with Mike Babcock from Hale Varsity. This week, the wrap-up will be seen on Wednesday at 7 Central here on NET1.
What if we could unlock every mystery?
We're at the beginning of a revolution.
That's a huge discovery.
That's never been done before, ever. Anywhere.
Touchdown confirmed.
No one feeds on curiosity like PBS. Give to your PBS station so future generations can keep asking, what if?
To feed your curiosity, visit netnebraska.org/science.
Class D2 state championship right here on NET Sports. A chilly morning has actually turned into a not bad afternoon. 46 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and a light breeze at about 9 miles per hour. The officials for today's game, led by your head official, Darrell Lindsay. You see the umpire, linesman, and the rest of the officials. Rick Stromer is our red hat. Ready to go in the Class D2 state championship between the Stuart Broncos and Falls City Sacred Heart. It'll be Yanni Harlabitis to kick it away for Falls City Sacred Heart. Back deep for the Stuart Broncos, Tate Schmatter and Mitch Dvorak. Underway here in Class D2 as that goes through the end zone. And we'll get our first look at the Stuart Broncos offense led by Alex Kuntz, the 5'11", 170-pound junior. So let's take a look at the starting lineups. Kuntz is the quarterback. Dvorak and Dexter are the running backs. Micah Dexter, wide receiver. Tate Schmatter is the tight end. Offensive line, Broders, Rum, and Paxton. Right away they give up the middle. Nothing there for Dvorak. About a yard gain will bring up second down and long. The stop made by Brandon Schwang. So Falls City Sacred Heart, Keithley, Finger, Scheidel up front. Niemeyer, Schwang, Kirkendall, Malone, and Dunn, the backs and linebackers for the Irish. Under pressure, hit in the backfield and dropped by Daniel Keithley. Pressure provided by Niemeyer in the backfield.
You already are going to see the contrasting styles. The spread, the big splits from Stuart, and the power up front for Falls City Sacred Heart. Going to be the great equalizer if Stuart wants to move the football today on offense. Going to have to manage the kids up front.
So that'll bring up third down and 10. No gain on the first two plays. Here's Alex Kuntz in the shotgun. Drops back, rolls that little left-handed flip out there. Complete to Dvorak, who's still running down the far sideline. Dvorak with more room inside the 20, down to the 17-yard line on a big third down play for the Broncos.
Well done in terms of concept. Off the little jet sweep, the little flare out to him. Nice touch, too, by the lefty. Little floater. We talked about, Kuntz delivers. Now, he's been a guy that's been adept at making plays all year long. That pitch and catch right there, testament to that.
47-yard gain on the completion from Kuntz to Dvorak. And now Dvorak splits wide. Kept by Kuntz. He's hit in the backfield and piled up defensively. First man there was once again Daniel Keithley. Followed up closely by Schwang. And Kirkendall there as well.
Early on, Keithley looks just like a guy you're going to have to manage. You can see Coach Goltz right there talking with his staff about fundamental responsibility at zone read. Who's got dive, who's got quarterback, who's my edge setter, whether it's 8 or 11 man. those two things have to declare themselves early on.
Coach Goltz talked about eliminating or containing the big play for Stuart was going to be a key, and right away a 46-yarder puts them deep in Irish territory. That'll bring up 3rd down and 7 after a short gain.
It's a little bit off schedule if you're Stuart, but you've already done a good job of establishing field position and kind of swinging momentum.
Lance Howard in his 11th year with the Broncos. First trip here to Memorial Stadium. Kuntz will keep it, look to the left side. Kuntz inside the 5-yard line, and enough for a 1st down. And Stuart, the Broncos, threatening on their opening drive.
Yeah, deceptive speed. I like their body language early on. Just old school quarterback sweep. Student body left. 2 good lead blockers getting out and sealing the edge. Falls City Sacred's got to reestablish containment on the edge.
Tackle made there by Chaz Dunn. We'll see Chaz leading the offense for Falls City Sacred Heart. So 1st and goal to go. End around and knocked down is Dvorak. Dvorak maybe loses a yard back to the 6-yard line. It'll bring up 2nd down and goal for the Broncos.
You already see a little wrinkle right now from Falls City Sacred Heart, playing a little bit more of a 3-3-2 as opposed to the conventional 3-2-3. Going to be very hard for Stuart to establish the edges with that outside zone read look.
2nd down now for the Broncos. Give inside, an opening, and in there for the touchdown goes Mason Dexter on the give from Kuntz, and the Broncos are on the board on their 1st drive of the game.
Well, I tell you, nice play design right there. A little inside give off a jet sweep action. They get the little puller backside. Well executed right there if you're Stuart, and that's the kind of start that you want to get off to. Nice lead block by Connor Paxton, too, as he came around to pull.
Going for 2 now. Alex Kuntz drops back. They're containing. Kuntz rolls around the right side, looks for the corner, and got it. Alex Kuntz in for the 2-point conversion, and the Broncos come out and take charge right away. 8-0, Stuart on top.
Nice drive. Been there, done that. Who needs either one of those things right now? Stuart looks to be in good control of what they want to do on offense, especially in terms of dictating tempo. They got Falls City Sacred Heart a little bit off balance as we take a look at the replay here. Well done. The inside give, I mean, that's the counter basically to that outside zone, is a little misdirection to keep guys at home and be honest.
So the Broncos came in 11-1 of the season. Coming in the heavy underdog to the #1 seed Falls City Sacred Heart Irish, and they get on the board first. Hey, I want to remind you, you can also watch today's game live on your computer, tablet, or smartphone at netnebraska.org/sports, or on the new NET Nebraska app, available free for the Android and Apple devices. You can also get the app at netnebraska.org/apps. Reminder, NET is Nebraska's home for sports. Plenty of ways to catch the game today, regardless where you're at. On the go or at home, and completely free.
Long before NET gets that mobile app.
Yeah, we just got it.
Nice, very nice. That was just your segue for you to talk about.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
I just finished talking about it.
Thank you.
Ball goes into the end zone. And we'll bring up 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line for Falls City Sacred Heart. Of course, this 8-man football, Class D2, as the D1 championship was earlier today, shortened 80-yard field. So if you look at the markers here at Memorial Stadium, they'll be about 10 yards off. Not about, they are 10 yards off. So the ball looks like it's placed at the 25, is actually the 15. Midfield is at the 40-yard line, which would be the 50. On the sweep to give around, and good gain on 1st down. And they give to Austin Malone.
Already, Falls City Sacred Heart, much bigger than Stuart in the trenches. Stuart's going to have to probably get active, get on the move a little bit to try to get off blocks a little bit.
Stuart Broncos faced earlier this year Anselmo Myrna, and talking with Coach Howard, he said he felt like Falls City Sacred Heart was very similar to Anselmo Myrna, a team they beat 44-12. He just said Sacred Heart has a whole lot better athletes and they run it pretty effectively.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah, it's just the execution. Keene up the middle. So Sawyer Keene with the carry. Keene going over 1,400 yards on the season with that carry. Let's look. Chaz Dunn is your quarterback. Keene is the running back. Schweig is the fullback. Niemeyer and Scheidel, wide receiver and tight end. Offensive line up front led by Rummer, Keithley, and Feiner. All three seniors up front.
Going 220, 185, and 240 across the front. Much bigger than Stuart.
Dunn with it. Pitches outside, good gain. And a first down carry once again by Sawyer Keene. That's out near the 30-yard line. Here's the defense for the Broncos of Stuart. Dexter, Rum, and Paxton. The guys up front, your backs and linebackers, Broders, Dexter, Schmaderer, Coons, and Dvorak. So 8-0 here in first quarter of play. First possession of the game for Sacred Heart. Good pitch outside again off that option, and a shoestring tackle prevents Keene from possibly going the distance. Dexter got him for a gain of about 8.
Well,
second down and 2.
I really like the versatility out of the variety of looks that Falls City can show you. There's the run keep option, obviously, between quarterback and tailback. But with that fly sweep motion, keeps those backside ends at home.
So Keene in the backfield along with Dunn. They give to Keene up the middle. Keene a gain of 4 or 5 inside Bronco territory, and that's enough for a first down. And the Sacred Heart Irish looking good early on, moving it very methodically.
I gotta get a pair of glasses like that, LP. And match your sharp blazer over there.
March 17th, you wear those, right? Every March 17th, isn't that right? I've seen you downtown.
You know it.
Chaz Dunn, the quarterback, on the option again. Pitches outside. Keene, a gain of about 2.
It's interesting how Falls City Sacred Heart, especially early on, is not afraid to go to the short side of field as we take a look at the replay. Just a little sprint option. Ran out of real estate there, but able to turn the corner. If you're Stuart, you've got to win on the edges to stop this perimeter run game from Falls City Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart, a dual threat team. 1,700 yards through the air for Dunn. They've done it all on the ground thus far. Toss outside. It's Keene one more time, and Keene with another big gain inside the 30, down to the 25, 20, I think a 26-yard line, but enough for a first down on the carry by Sawyer Keene.
He's the bell cow right now. Not afraid to shoulder the mail. Shoulder the load, I should say, or carry the mail. Talking about run fits right there. You know, it's important, especially for a guy like Dexter, who's undersized, 145. It'd be hard for him to set the edge. Very undersized.
Now Dunn back to pass, looks over the middle, got a man, delivers it right on target, and carried for a first down on the throw to Strassheim. Sean Strassheim with the catch inside the 15-yard line, right at the 15-yard line, but brings up first and 10.
Again, showing you the versatility as we take a look at the replay of the little under route. People got it. Dunn is thrown for 1,700 yards. Not afraid to put it in the air, although they have featured the ground game thus far.
Sun peeking out here at Memorial Stadium. Not a bad afternoon at all. Reaching nearly 50 degrees, 46 right now on the option. Fakes the pitch and keeps it. Ducks it up for no gain. Good defense there by the Broncos, led by Cale Creasel.
We'll see if Stuart, a little bit, high-fiving a little bit, little tail slap in there as we take a look at the replay. Good job being sound on the run fits. Almost caused a turnover there. Good job of securing the ball from Dunn as he bobbled it going into contact. But if you're Stuart, your back's against the wall with the goal line creeping behind you. Can they bow their neck here a little bit? They finally got Falls City off schedule with a 2nd and 10.
Paxton Connor, it was on that last tackle from his defensive end spot. So 2nd down and 10 now for the Irish. Hit right up front and dropped. The Stuart defense stepping up big. That time, Trevor Rum. Let's go down to the field to John Bishop.
On this first drive, Stuart trying to pinch those ends out just enough so they can commit the quarterback to pitching just a little bit early. There's been a lot of communication as well with Mason Dexter, who is at the 2nd level, saying you've got to come over and you have to make those plays on the edge. So there's a lot of communication going on right now. They've made a couple of adjustments during this drive. Let's see what they can do here on this last couple plays.
Dropping back to throw now is Chaz Dunn over the middle. Finds his man in Niemeyer, and Colin Niemeyer in there for the touchdown on the completion from Chaz Dunn. And right away, the Sacred Heart Irish answer.
Yeah, too much time on the drag route, but Johnny on the spot here as we take a look at the replay. A little crossing route. We see that a lot so far today in the D1 and D2 levels. Where John talked about it. The guys that are on the edge, your adjusters, being able to help out in the run game to make quick decisions. That's going to be the key going forward. A lot of traffic, even though there's 3 less players on the field on those crossing routes.
Lapides in there for the extra point try on the season. He's 80 of 87, knocks that through. And it's 8-7. Broncos on top. Each team with 1 possession in the books, and both have had no problem marching it down the field.
No, and did my eyes deceive me as we take a look at the replay? Nice effort, a little run after the catch. Was that a place kicker we saw?
That's the first one today, right? Time now to take a look back at the D2 State Championship from 2012. Here's our flashback.
Top-ranked Giltner took on number 2 Humphrey St. Francis in last year's Class D2 championship. It was the Jake Finley show as the Giltner quarterback accounted for all 6 Hornets touchdowns, 5 of which came through the air on 396 yards passing. The Hornets went into halftime leading 30-8, with touchdown catches coming from Dustin Hastings, Ben Hendricks, and Kyle Hoffman. The Flyers outscored Giltner 18-12 in the second half with 2 touchdowns from J.J. Altmer and a touchdown catch from Caleb Suits, but it wasn't enough. Giltner capped off its undefeated season with a 42-26 win and were crowned 2012's Class D2 champs.
So it's 8-7, Stuart on top of Falls City Sacred Heart. Here, 1 possession in the books for each team, and we might have one of those games where it's who's going to stop the other team first.
Well, and the key is what you have to wonder, looking at just the sheer physicality of it, is can Stuart maintain this pace to be able to play in space against the size and power of Falls City Sacred Heart.
Lapides in to kick it away. Driven on the ground. It will be scooped up at the 5-yard line as Stuart brings it out past the 15 to about the 17-yard line on the return by Schmatter. Tate Schmatter with the return.
Well, I tell you, it's early, but I like Fenger right now for Falls City Sacred Heart. He seems the guy, he's very physical up front in the trenches, and right there being very authoritative on the tackle. I'm going to keep my eye on double 4s.
Let's look at Doug Goltz in his 27th year. All 27 teams have made the playoffs. He had that terrific run, as John Bishop told you at the top of the show. Over the middle, tipped and nearly picked off by that Irish defense, right through the hands of Chaz Dunn. Had a shot at it.
We kind of missed this in our D1 matchup. We didn't see either quarterback with a ton of time to pass, but so far in this D2 matchup, quarterbacks having a chance to set their feet. That was rare this morning.
There's Alex Coons, as we said. Coons has thrown for over 1,700 yards on the season. Rushed for better than 1,200. They'll keep this hit in the backfield, and I think it's the double 4s there for you with the big play. Jared Feiner again.
Yeah, he looks to be a very good player right now. Uses his hands well. Look at his good base here. Sheds a block, gets down the line of scrimmage, and piggyback time. That's a lot of weight coming down on you from the big fella, number 44. And Feiner, he's going 220 at 6'2".
Look at the numbers on the year. 151 tackles, 19 sacks. Scoots under pressure again. Thinks about rolling the other way. Good containment. Ball goes downfield and overthrows his intended receiver just over Schmatter's hands. That'll bring up now 4th down and 11 for the Broncos.
Tough situation right out of the gates for a 3 and out. If we get a punt here, you just didn't want to turn around and have to go right back on defense after the lengthy drive that Falls City Sacred Heart just finished in a rapidly dissipating first quarter.
Trevor Rum kicks it away. Back deep is Malone. Fumbles it. It's on the ground, and it's the Irish recovering. Broncos with a golden opportunity there, but heads up play by Colin Niemeyer to get back on that. Didn't quite have control of it, did Austin Malone. I want to remind you to log on to facebook.com/NET Sports. You can become a fan, leave questions, comments, see what goes on behind the scenes at NET Sports, and don't forget to click the like button. It's fast, fun, easier than ever to be part of Nebraska's only statewide sports network on facebook.com/NET Sports. So now the Irish with its second possession.
Another good job with Stuart. They showed some telltale signs at the end of the previous drive before they gave up the passing touchdown that they had settled in on how they want to contain the run game of Falls City Sacred Heart. Again, another win on first down, having Falls City Sacred Heart in 2nd and 10.
Fighting Irish last year graduated 5 seniors. Weren't sure if this was a team that could make it deep into the playoffs, but they have certainly proven to be capable. Up top goes Dunn, the completion. Run out of bounds, Logan Scheidel. Scheidel with the completion. Bring up 3rd and 3 after a gain of 8 yards on the completion to Scheidel. Back in now with the play comes Colin Niemeyer.
Big down right here, right now, if you're Stuart from a confidence standpoint, and give yourself a chance. There's no real rest. You know, these guys will flip over and play the other side when you only have 17 on your roster. But at least from a psychological standpoint, you'd like to get off the field here on defense.
Dunn gives it to Keene. He's hit right at the line of scrimmage, but keeps churning, and then the posse gets there to shut him down. Good play and support by Schmatter from that quarterback spot to complete the tackle.
That's impressive by Stuart, hitting that fit on the fly as they were late getting lined up. Getting right to their run blitzes. It's a great tackle by Mason Dexter. Get the head across and run the feet. Make him take the long way around as they force a potential punt here.
Eli Rammer now in to kick it away on 4th down. Run is away, back deep is Dvorak. Dvorak lets it hit once and then takes it at the 15. And he's dragged down at a gain of about 3. So the return of 3 yards, and the Broncos have it again. Well, the new NET Nebraska app is available for Android and Apple devices, Damon. Not sure if you knew this, but watch live streaming of the NSAA High School Championships on the new app. You can watch Big Red Wrap-Up, player profiles, so much more. Search the App Store for your free NET Nebraska app, or you can visit at netnebraska.org/apps and follow NET Sports on the go. I know you've downloaded it just in the last 60 seconds and probably watching yourself.
I was going to say, hey, LP, how about that new NETV app?
That is outstanding, and a flag, it looks like we'll go against the Irish. Encroachment against the green.
Now, if I'm Stuart here, and I got a 1st and 5, I'm gonna manage. It's, you know, it's winning without having to give up a down. If I'm Stuart, I take a look at maybe putting the ball in the air here early. Oh, false start.
Yeah, and you see.
Yeah,
Lance Howard isn't sure about that either. They will back up Stuart Broncos. We certainly.
Well, that was amazing.
Yeah. You didn't see any maroon move? Is that what
no, I did not. Boy, did they signal that the right way?
They backed them up. So
what do I know? That's why those guys are down there making the big bucks.
It makes it 1st down and 15. And the keep. Around the right side, Kuntz puts his head down into traffic. Let's go down to the field to John Bishop.
Yeah, guys, the official nearest to us was giving an explanation to head coach Lance Howitt and said it was the center. Apparently the center may have given a false snap, and that's why the call went against them. The Stuart sideline erupted. In fact, they're still talking about it right now after that first down play, but that was the call. It was kind of a false snap there. The center moved the football.
Thanks for clarifying. I thought I was going to lose Benning up here for a while.
Oh, that's outstanding. They typically give the center the benefit of the doubt to reset the ball.
Under pressure, fires it deep in. Incomplete on the toss by Kuntz, and he was heavily pressured. And David, you talked about not having or having a lot of time to throw. Kuntz had none that time.
Yeah, again, as you see him breathing heavily, Falls City Sacred Heart starting to dial it up a little bit in terms of winning on the line of scrimmage. I can't get over the size disparity right now in terms of the biggins up front, you know, with Stuart going 145, 210, 190, being countered by 240, 185, and 220. Eventually, that matters. Look at this, you know, Fanger, big-time nose there.
3rd and 12. Kuntz goes up top, has it batted right at or around the line of scrimmage, and then offline and incomplete. So that'll bring up another 4th down, 4th and 12 for the Broncos. So after that opening drive where they had the big 46-yard gain on the toss from Kuntz, they've gone 3 and out in back-to-back series.
Yeah.
So Mason Dexter now in to punt it away. Back deep is Austin Malone. Punt is blocked. And the Irish fall on it. So a big special teams play for the Irish of Falls City Sacred Heart.
On the 34-yard line, you know, and Niemeyer, as he pounces on it, see, that's bringing one more than you can handle. But not only that, they're recreating the line of scrimmage at the snap. That push, that's too much.
I believe it might have been, I'll make it number 40 there, 4-0. So it was Sean Strassheim who got through there. The 6'2", 155 senior got that big hand up and knocked it down. And now the Irish with great field position. Nearly picked off the other way on the incompletion. Right there was Broders. Chase Broders has to go through his hand. They'll bring up 2nd down and 10 now for the Irish.
I really like the intricacies of this offense. I mean, anytime you're throwing for 1,700 and your quarterback is going for 400, and you've got as good a player as Dvorak as as Sawyer as you can hand the ball to, you're probably pretty well balanced if you're Falls City Sacred Heart.
Doug Goltz has been around for a while. 27 years, goes up top, wide open over the middle, and walking in for the touchdown is Strassheim. So after the blocked kick, they say, thank you, Mr. Strassheim, throw him the ball for the touchdown.
Runs a little underneath route. He was the number 2 receiver on that right side. Little miscommunication there. He ran a little look in. Came wide open. You know, that's Falls City Sacred Hearts to neutralize how Stuart wants to fit in the run game on the edges with their outside linebackers.
Harlabetis now in to try the extra point. So 2 touchdowns for Sean Strassheim. And the block kick. Flag on the play. Before we call it, we'll see whether it's encroachment or... Let's listen in. Well, it was encroachment called against the defense. And now Harlabetis will set up to try one more time. Yanni Harlabetis. Up, and it is good. Falls City Sacred Heart, 2 passing touchdowns. Chaz Dunn, both of them to Sean Strassheim.
Big line splits, buying some time. That's easy pitch and catch. Being rewarded for the punt block.
Quite a game so far. Well, NET is your ticket to exciting sports action right in your living room. Help us deliver inspiring sports programming by joining the NET Sports Partners Club. We'd love to have you as a member. because your contribution helps ensure that we're able to bring these great programs to you right in your living room for years to come. You'll receive some terrific thank you gifts with our appreciation for your support, so please log on to netnebraska.org/sportspartners and become a member today. We'd love to have you as part of the NET family. We love bringing you these state high school championships. Second of 3 on the day, and you can see Coach Lance Howard still wondering about.
He's got to shake off the encroachment, you know, the false start penalty, or the explanation thereof. Got to stay in the moment.
So it was Niemeyer and Strassheim with the 2 touchdowns. So Niemeyer had the first, Strassheim with that second. And now Haralabides kicks it deep and through the end zone. Good leg on Yanni Haralabides.
He's not short on leg strength, is he?
So now the Broncos back on the field. Alex Kuntz will try to lead the Broncos back into this one, trailing 15-8. Make it 14-8.
Big series right here for Stuart.
There's 20 seconds left here in this first quarter of play. Up the middle. Kuntz. First down, his best carry, or close to a first down, his best carry of the day. A gain of about 9.
I think that's actually their best answer. You have to show some sort of fly sweep motion and either keep them honest with the give, the away from motion, or the quarterback run game off the fly sweep motion. Otherwise, you're allowing Falls City Sacred Heart to get too good a push to get vertical up the field.
So now we're inside 35 seconds in quarter number 1. Give theirs to Mitch Dvorak. Dvorak with a first down carry outside the 25 to the 28-yard line.
A little fly sweep motion here. Run that just like outside zone, just an extended version.
First down and 10. Kuntz, ball on the ground, picks it up, and no gain. That will likely be the last play of this first quarter between Falls City Sacred Heart and Stuart. Lance Howard says, yep, let's wait for the second quarter. So first 12 minutes is in the books. Stuart came out and took the lead, but Falls City Sacred Heart answered with a couple of touchdowns, and we head to the second quarter with the Irish on top 14-8.
No matter how you look at it, animal agriculture helps Nebraska's economy. The livestock industry provides increased tax revenues for schools and community services. Livestock enterprises also create jobs while contributing to existing businesses such as local banks and grocery stores. A thriving livestock industry helps maintain our current way of life, but also provides opportunities for the next generation of farm families. The Nebraska Soybean Checkoff helps to raise awareness of the importance of animal agriculture to Nebraska.
Participating in Nebraska high school activities has taught me about teamwork.
I've learned how to lead among my peers.
At my high school, I have set goals and I work hard to accomplish them.
I like to run on my cross country team. It makes me feel good about myself.
Thank you, Nebraska, for your support of the Nebraska School Activities Association.
NET Sports coverage of the 2013 NSAA Football Championships are brought to you in part by the Nebraska Public Power District, the Nebraska Soybean Board, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Nebraska, by Education Quest Foundation, and by the Aurora Cooperative. A big thank you to all our sponsors who help us bring you the best high school athletes from across the state. We couldn't do it without your support. Welcome back here at Memorial Stadium. State Championship Monday here in the capital city. Lincoln, Nebraska, one state championship already in the book. Class D1 this morning, now D2 between Falls City Sacred Heart and the upstart Stuart Broncos. Alec Coons with the keep.
Boy, nice versatility on the defensive front. Falls City Sacred Heart has only 2 guys with their hand in the dirt. Nose tackle, stands up. He's back off the ball about 3 yards, almost acts like another middle linebacker. Both guys pinch inside. A lot of little intricacies in 8-man that I feel like I need a pen and paper. How is this applicable?
3rd down now, 7 for the Broncos. Kuntz under duress again. Kuntz gets rid of it, but out of bounds, and we have a flag on the play. Might be a late hit on the quarterback by Zavin Kirkendall, who came in right at the end of the play and put Kuntz to the ground.
Falls City Sacred Heart's ability to collapse the pocket becoming extremely apparent now. Again, not to overstate it, but the difference in play up front between the offensive and defensive lines is significant.
On the offense, it's a loss of down, 4th down.
So intentional grounding on Kuntz was the call.
Maybe that didn't get back to the line of scrimmage because he was clearly out of the pocket.
Is that relevant in high school? Behind the pass line?
Yeah, if you're out,
you know.
Well, if he's outside the tackle there.
Outside the tackle box. Has to have it past the line of scrimmage. So a timeout called by head coach Lance Howitt. 14-8 on 4th and 22 now. With 11:20 to go here in the second, and this is where Stuart has to be careful not to let this one get away. Bring up 4th down and 22 from the 16. Hey, next Monday night, NET Television's Nebraska's Capital Masterpiece explores the enduring nature of our state capitol building, a masterpiece of art and architecture in the spirit of everything Nebraska. Nebraska's Capital Masterpiece airs Monday, December 2nd at 7 Central on NET1.
Proud little sis, that's great. That's my big brother.
The town's empty on these Mondays and Tuesdays and Saturdays for state basketball and state volleyball. All of their teams down to state championship days. This is kicked away by Mason Dexter. It'll be taken by Malone in his own territory. Breaks a tackle and another one, and Malone could go, and he does. Touchdown on the punt return, and Falls City Sacred Heart has taken charge.
Well, I tell you, they backed out of the punt block at the last minute. I think Stuart was thinking pressure. A little bit of a hesitation to protect the punter. Did not cover with tremendous speed. Falls City Sacred Heart sets up the return and gets the big play in special teams.
Return for the touchdown by the junior Austin Malone. And now the extra point try to make it 21-8 here in the second quarter, and early on in this second quarter of play. 11:06 yet to go. The kick by Haralabitis is good. 21-8, and how big, Damon, have special teams been?
Yeah, we've got the blocking and returning. Everybody stays up. Inability to tackle in space. We've seen this show its ugly head in football all too long, regardless of level. Falls City Sacred Heart taking advantage of it. Bobbing and weaving his way through traffic. And I tell you what, if you're Stuart right now, it is imperative on this drive that you maybe not necessarily have to get points. You'll always take those, but what you do have to do is give your defense a break.
Well, it's time now for our NSAA Championship Trivia. If you are the first person to email us the correct answer to sports@netnebraska.org, you'll win an NET Sports Championship t-shirt, just like the one you see there, size extra large. So, the trivia question is, Falls City Sacred Heart holds the record for the longest winning streak in 8-man football. It went from 89 through 95. At what number does that record stand? How many in a row? First correct email to sports@netnebraska.org wins the NET Sports Championship t-shirt. Remember, just one winner per household during the 2013 championships. You were listening to John Bishop at the top of the show. He might have mentioned the number in a row. Or John, did you just say how many years in a row? John's down there looking at his notes. In fact,
how many years in a row? I mentioned how many. I didn't necessarily say they were in a row.
All right. How many games in a row? And that goes into the end zone and through, so Stuart will take over at the 15. But he's down there sending an email to someone.
Yeah, he's got a Mark Twain penmanship. He's answering our own trivia question.
He is, that's right.
Now, you know, the interesting thing is that was a competitive time in high school. It must have been the era for streaks, because that was right around the time that Wahoo was reeling off their ridiculous number of wins in basketball, not to be rivaled by what Falls City Sacred Heart was doing in football.
That's right.
Prep coming off the tail end of their great run of championships.
Flag on the play, stops the play. And really important now, down 21-8 as you look at Lance Howitt.
That's that befuddled look, right? Are you kidding me right there?
And that will back Stuart up 5 yards.
False start on the offense. 5 yards, still first down.
Out of the field.
Calm your nerves here a little bit if you're Stuart.
Great job on it. Now it's no concern about a sprain. What it is, he suffered a laceration earlier in the season. Noticing before the game in warm-ups, they were running some plays to his left where they were trying to run a little option, and a couple of the pitches went awry, so he had to come to the sidelines and get a retape job. He carries the ball predominantly in that left hand. It really hasn't affected him throwing the ball nor pitching it yet, but we'll see if it plays into account later in this game.
Big hit there by Daniel Keithley. Keithley with the stop. Thank you, John.
So again, that's just winning at the point of attack. Keithley's as big as anybody out here for Falls City Sacred Heart.
Gain of 1 on the play brings up second down 14.
6'4". Great length. Not the weight, the length.
Looking for the screen. Lets it clear, and then the ball is dropped off of the hit by Jared Fainer. So Fainer with a good pop. Mason Dexter who coughs it up. Incomplete pass.
And he's a good enough athlete in Fainer where sometimes he's standing in the 2-point over the nose. Sometimes he's got his hand in the dirt. He's strong enough to disengage when he's got his hand in the dirt. He gives them some versatility at the nose spot that I think is unique to 8-man football.
Nearing the 10-minute mark here in the second quarter. 3rd down and 14. Kuntz rolling to his right, looks downfield, keeps it, tight ropes that line, and then pushed out around the 15-yard line. That will bring up 4th down, and the Broncos, since that opening drive, have really struggled to move the ball. They have gone 2 straight 3-and-outs and then a 5-and-out.
Especially for as smooth as they looked on that opening drive, where they seemed to be in real control of the tempo in terms of what they wanted to do on offense.
8 plays on their first drive, opening drive of the game. A total of 11 since in the next 3 drives. Punted away by Mason Dexter. Malone has it again. Malone along the far side will be run out of bounds, but into Bronco territory at about the 34-yard line. So the Irish trying to extend that lead. Already up 21-10 here in quarter number 2.
Yeah, we talked about Stuart having some offensive continuity early on. The first drive went for 65 yards. They've had 12 yards in the last 4 drives combined. So early success from Stuart, countered by Falls City Sacred Heart in terms of the defensive adjustments that they've made.
A lot of young players on this Stuart squad. 1 senior on the team. Dropping back is Chaz Dunn. Flag on the play. We'll see what the call is.
Have a dead ball. False start on the offense. 5 yards, still first down.
So that backs the Irish up 5 yards. Replay first down. There's Chaz Dunn, 4 of 5 for a couple of touchdowns already today. Nearing the 1,800-yard mark on the season in total yards passing. Out of the flat, complete to Malone. Malone for a short gain. We talked with head coach Doug Goltz about his starting quarterback, Chaz Dunn.
Chaz Dunn, he's defense and backed up on offense. And this year we went more to a passing game because of his skill set. He really throws a nice ball. He's thrown almost 73% accuracy this year. And he does a good job running the ball too. We run a lot of speed option. Good leader, just a real good athlete.
Now back to throw, complete is done to Schleidel. Schleidel spins out of one tackle, stays on his feet, down near the 10-yard line, stopped at about the 11 on the completion from Chaz Dunn to Logan Schleidel.
As you take a look at the replay here, again, the drag route breaks open late, a lot of time, and then you see the big fella in the open field just breaking tackles. Again, that's the difference that I try to make when you're playing offense versus defense, even though they're the same kids. The temperament and tempo is different. Stuart's defense has to get off the field in terms of the physicality they need in which to tackle.
Good completion from Dunn to Scheidel, the junior. Now on 1st and 10, back up top. Dislodged from the ball on the hit by Alex Coons.
Big difference from doing the hitting and being hit in 8-man.
Coons got a little frustration there. They're different in all levels, being hit and not hit.
Well, you know, sometimes you try to explain that to those that are listening at home so they understand the subtleties of flipping sides of offense and defense, even though you're using the same kids.
Got it.
But you're right. I appreciate you helping me make that point.
I bet you do. Second down and 10.
Well played.
Up the middle. Touchdown! Chaz Dunn, 11 yards right up the middle.
Tell you what, Falls City Sacred Heart up front. I'm not sure what else Stuart can do if Falls City Sacred Heart uses multiple wide receivers. Take a look, he just pulls it down and runs, because you can't commit any more to the box if they're in a 2-by-1 receiver set. You know, they're controlling the amount of people you can put in the box. Now they're just able to handle guys mano-a-mano in the trenches.
So the 11-yard carry for the touchdown by Dunn. He now has 2 touchdowns through the air, another one on the ground. Extra point is through and good. It is 28-8. Falls City Sacred Heart threatening to run away here. Like you said, Damon, how are they going to handle the big physicality up front? And right now it's beginning to show.
And if you're Stuart, you've got to find a way. You have to play to your strengths, and they like up-tempo, and they'll spread you out, but you have to find a way to slow the game down to give yourself a chance to make some adjustments, at least at where the staff can bring those guys over in between series of the ball and talk about how you're being attacked. Falls City, right now, it's not real fancy, though. See, they're able to block on the interior lines, and that's the difference right now.
28-8 after the touchdown by the Irish. Big smile from Doug Goltz.
And when you can win up front, that gives you reason to relax.
Doug might want a DVD copy of this game. If you'd like one, or any of our NSAA football and volleyball championships, go to netnebraska.org, or you can give us a call, 800-868-1868 to order your DVD. It's just $19.95 plus shipping and handling. And if you're calling, be sure to specify the year, the sport, the school, and the class when ordering online or on the phone. It's a lasting memory for the entire family. In fact, you might even make a good holiday gift. Holiday's coming up, so order right now your DVDs. 28-8, Falls City Sacred Heart, the Irish on top of the Broncos. Kick will come down in the end zone, and the Broncos will take over at the 15. So now Lance Howard in his 11th season will trot his Starting junior quarterback Alex Kuntz back out there to try to get back into this. An important possession here. 9 minutes to go. You're already down 20. You'd love to get back into this right before half.
Yeah, right now you're not necessarily checking the score as much as you want to be efficient with your possessions right now. The points will come.
Here's Kuntz on the carry along the left side. Kuntz picks up a short gain, flag on the play, as Kuntz gets slowly back to his feet. Let's see what the flag is here.
Boy, the penalty's starting to add up for Stuart. And again, one of the other little subtleties, when the same kids play both offense and defense, when your defense is on the field and you get a little bit tired, you can overcompensate. When you're on offense and you get a little bit tired, you get out of position and you do things uncharacteristically like hold due from being in bad position.
So that will back them up 10 yards back inside the 10-yard line. Not quite 10, so make it second down and maybe 18 or 19. We'll call it 19.
That's the fifth penalty too early for Stuart.
First down and 19. So Darrell Lindsay of Wayne walking over to clarify with his crew.
He's been busy early. 6 penalties thus far between the two. 5 for 26 for Stuart, that's a fair amount in on an 80-yard field.
So half the distance they will respot.
Really 9 minutes, 8:59 to go in the second quarter.
First and 17 now. The option goes wide to Mason Dexter. Dexter with the short gain, tackled by Colin Niemeyer. And this
outstanding
Irish defense has swarmed well.
Yeah, when he's able to handle the number 1 wide receiver out there on the edge. He can defeat that stock block, then he gets to set the table, and he's secondary, not necessary. Conceptually, Falls City Sacred Heart has afforded some luxuries being able to stop the run in the box with their front 3.
Second down and 15, Alex Kuntz. Under pressure, and they will chase him down from behind. Great pursuit and tackle from the outside by Sean Strassheim, and he has been active early here in this first half of play.
You take a look at him, he runs it down from the backside. Falls City Sacred Heart bringing 1 more than Stuart can block. You either have to slide left and roll away from the pressure, as they tried there, but Strassheim just able to run that down from the backside.
Third down and 20. After the loss of 5.
That's 6'2", 155. Strassheim is awful long.
Runs well.
Built like a drinking straw.
Third and long, back to throw, under pressure, across the middle. Got his man, but not enough for a first down. Great completion out there to Micah Dexter, the sophomore wide receiver. That will bring up 4th down and 9, a completion for 11.
A little backside post, a little square in, I guess I'd say. Nice closing speed.
Back in now to punt it away is Mason Dexter.
It's officially danger time if you're Stuart.
Punt it away. Back deep is Austin Malone again. And Malone will be wrapped up and dropped right at the 35, call it 36-yard line. Minimal return. That's where the Irish offense will take over. A Big Red Wrap-Up won't be seen at its regular time on Tuesday night this week due to the NSAA Football Championships. Instead, we will have the wrap-up on Wednesday night with special guest Mike Babcock from Hale Varsity. Plus, we'll take a look at Friday's game with the Iowa Hawkeyes. So be sure to join us. Big Red Wrap-Up. It's coming up at a special time this week, Wednesday night, 7 Central on NET1. Mike Babcock, longtime Nebraska beat writer and a historian for all things Husker related and Nebraska related.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's forgotten more than I'll probably ever know about the
No doubt
university.
about that. And delivers it in such a matter-of-fact manner. Down the sideline on the option, tripped up. Otherwise, Sawyer Keene was threatening to take it the distance. Tripped up and stopped after he gains enough for a first down.
Boy,
14.
how about this? Off the fly, sweep motion comes around. Well, that's just outstanding. I mean, they're running that into the boundary as well. That is well conceived.
Love that camera shot. That pitch was coming right into your living room. Good stop by Mason Dexter on the outside. Enough for a first down, so now 1st and 10 from the 29. There's
It's where you
Sawyer
enjoy
Keene.
being a play caller, when you know you can handle guys up front.
Now back to throw is Chaz Dunn. Dunn goes deep. Kind of a back shoulder throw and a flag on the play. And we'll see what the call is. It was intended for Austin Malone. Chase Broders was there in coverage. Looked like he had good coverage.
Yeah, he just didn't want to get didn't get his head around. I know he's thinking, is there really face guarding at the high school level? Because his hands were up in the air. Ran a wheel route off the fly motion. Took it up the hash. I guess I'd say along the numbers.
There's another look. Yep. It's that much early.
Trying to figure out who initiated that contact. Almost caught it off the bounce, off the ricochet.
So incomplete to Austin Malone, but ball now spotted at the 15. 1st and 10 for the Irish. Option the other way, outside Keene. He's hit hard, and Keene will be dropped.
That's a good football player right there, flipping over and playing defense like he likes to do. When you're talking about Kuntz, that take matters into his own hands, out there winning on the edge in the option game. Little feather motion. Full arsenal, full complement on offense if you're a fan of those guys with the shamrocks on their helmets. They have shown you a variety of plays.
No gain on the last play, brings up.
Yeah, you're going to have to
second
get a
of the full
timeout
team.
before you get an illegal substitution.
A timeout called by the Irish of Falls City Sacred Heart. Doug Goltz will meet with his team. As we said, the first time they've been here at Memorial Stadium, but very rich history and tradition. They were state champs for 6 consecutive years, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, where they amassed consecutive wins in the amount of, well, that's our trivia question, isn't it?
I'm still waiting. Did John Bishop hit send on the email? Because or maybe he's, how long does it take to build a dummy account?
Not long.
All right, we'll have to read through his IP address. It'll be interesting to hear. And Bishop, Jim is our winner.
Jack Bishop.
Jack Bishop.
Right on the number.
How do you know?
So after the incompletion and the timeout, it brings up 2nd down and 10 for Chaz Dunn and this Irish offense.
A little 2-by-2 set here. Who's going to motion into the backfield? They are on to something with being able to dictate motion. Stuart forced to play with that back flat 5, given this look.
Now in motion goes Keene. Dunn will follow Keene around the right side, inside the 15, down to about the 12. A short gain of 3 will bring up 3rd down and 7 defensively.
Between Romer and Keithley and Feiner, those guys are just, they're able to seal the edge. Guys are getting reached.
I want to remind you, you can connect with us on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/NET Sports. Become a fan. It's fast, easy, better than ever to follow us on facebook.com/NET Sports. We'd love to hear what you're thinking about our coverage of the state high school football championships at facebook.com/NET Sports. While you're there, make sure you become a fan of our page. The toss up top, tipped around, on the ground, still alive and caught.
Well, that's
tipped 3 times and a catch for the touchdown by Sawyer Keene.
This is a good player right there. We've seen a couple of good 21s thus far today from Hemingford and now Fall City Sacred Heart.
Great job defensively by Mason Dexter to keep it alive. The ball never touched. And Keene stays with it. One more look.
Well, I tell you, great effort by both players. How about Mason Dexter climbing the ladder? Needed another inch on that vertical.
Harlabetis in to try the extra point. He's 4 for 4 on the day and sneaks that one through as well. 5 for 5. Harlabetis on the year.
Well, he's got
85 of 92. He has a long field goal of 37. Let's go down to the field to John Bishop.
Well, it was interesting. I was standing in the exact opposite corner of the field from where the play happened, and I could tell, at least from ground level, that the ball never touched the ground. But the groans of the fans from Stuart behind me after they saw the first replay was like, I can't believe they called that complete. But then the second replay that we showed, and it was, of course, shown here on the big screens, those groans kind of turned into, wow, we just can't catch a break today, can we?
Mason Dexter almost backhanded it on the deflection after the initial tip. He tipped it with his left and almost batted it down with his right.
Well, Stuart Broncos here at Memorial Stadium for the first time, and Lance Howard admitted, he said, yeah, it's a bit of a surprise we're here. We had a lot of young kids last season, so they certainly got to play a lot. We only had 12 kids playing last year. We had a 4-4 season, but all that experience, they added 5 more kids, 5 freshmen to the roster. They're up to 17 on their entire roster now. But an outstanding season, 11-1, and here they are in a state championship. As that's kicked through the end zone, and Stuart will take over at the 15. And now trying just to get something going, and a bit of confidence would be a boost for these Broncos.
Yeah, first down at a time here. Again, you're not trying to pay much attention to the scoreboard. Everybody knows what it says. First down at a time. Back to your pet plays as an offense. You don't want to show any signs of panic. You've still got 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. Do what you do well in terms of your blueprint. What do you feel comfortable doing?
Just 87 total yards for the Broncos to this point.
And I believe 65 of those came on the first drive.
Yep. So 22 yards since that first drive. That goes up the middle and goes nowhere on the give to Mason Dexter. Maybe a yard to the 16. Strassheim on the tackle for the Irish. 35-8.
Making an early play to have himself being interviewed here after this game. Strassheim, he has been everywhere.
Here's Kuntz with the keeper. Kuntz chugging his way toward a first down. 1 first down at a time for the Stuart Broncos, and they got their first in a while.
It's almost like, you know, even though they're, you know, the same guys are on both sides, you're almost exhaling. You know, hey, we're still on offense. Good toughness right there. He's a good athlete. I watch him in warm-ups, get out of his backpedal and then turn around and throw passes. Real good athlete.
Since that first drive, David, 20 plays, 10 total yards, including that last carry. Their last 5 drives resulted in -1, -2, 1, -1, and 2 yards. The last 5 drives. It has been tough sledding against this tough Irish defense.
Yeah, absolutely. The ability to win it, you know, at the LOS at the line of scrimmage. It doesn't matter how many number of guys you have on the field. You have got to be able to win from in-man on the line of scrimmage to in-man on the line of scrimmage, regardless of that side of the ball.
Positive gain there of 3 yards. Second down and 7 now from the 29. Which looks up top on the cross.
Concentration.
It's his target. Good catch. Reception by Micah Dexter. Micah's made a couple of nice catches here in the second quarter.
Yeah, not afraid to go get it. He's taking his shots. He just keeps playing.
Micah just a sophomore, 5'7", 145.
Micah and Mason, little brotherly love.
Yep, 3 sets of brothers on this team. In fact, Mason and Micah, as you look one more time at the catch. Ooh. Might have slipped out of there.
Yeah.
No replay, high school.
How about our camera, guys?
That's impressive work there. Over the middle again. This time the completion to Mason Dexter. So Micah catches one, back comes Mason. I was just saying Micah and Mason brothers, and they are the sons of Stacy Dexter, who we had on NET just about 10 days ago in the state high school volleyball championship. Stuart made the state title game, coached by our mother, Stacy.
Fairly athletic bunch.
Well, not bad. Rolling to his left, looking downfield, and now taking off is Kuntz.
Oh, and lowers Boom going into contact. Taking out a few frustrations on Colin Niemeyer.
Enough for a first down on the carry by Alex Kuntz. A 12-yard pickup. Stuart now
Watch
getting...
him finish off this run. Yeah, nothing tricky about that. If I'm lower than you, I'll win.
Hard into contact goes Kuntz.
You like to see it. Nobody makes enough money out here to be running out of bounds.
Kuntz out of the flat and caught. Good reception by Mitch Dvorak. Dvorak pulled it away from the defender.
Now, it's interesting how all of a sudden they're back in rhythm on offense. I think some of it has to do with tempo. They're getting in and out of the huddle, trotting to the line of scrimmage as to kind of slow it down here as they respot the ball. But I think Kuntz throwing on the run. Good delivery, nice tight spiral. Good concentration. A pretty small window right there.
Kuntz has a nice drive, going 4 for 4 for 31 yards on this drive. Under pressure here, slips the tackle across the middle. Incomplete. Now 4 of 5 on this drive.
We're starting to heat up just a little bit. The crossing routes and the delayed drag seem to be there in D1 and D2. You see a lot of these guys running these rub routes, extended drags across the field.
So just over a minute and a half to go here, first half of play. Kuntz keeps it, breaks one tackle. Very short gain, that'll bring up 4th down and 3 to go. And a timeout called on the field. So timeout called by Lance Howitt. Stuart Broncos came into this game 11-1, only loss in the 4th game of the season, make it 5th game to Wynot. Knocked off Amherst 30-8 to get here in this state championship game.
Been pretty consistent, at 42 against Osmond, 44 against Anselmo Myrna, 44 against Medicine Valley, 30 against Amherst. Consistent on offense, but then you look at the other side with Falls City Sacred Heart in their last 5.
Well, it's our pleasure to be able to bring you this D2 state championship game. We'd love to hear from you. Send us an email. Let us know what you think about our coverage of this state high school football championship and all of the NSAA volleyball and football championships. If you value your statewide NET television, please let us know, and let all of our sponsors know as well. It's important to all of us by writing sports@netnebraska.org. We certainly appreciate you watching the NSAA football championships on NET1 online and on your new NET Nebraska app. 4th down and 3 over the middle, picked off, intercepted by Strassheim.
Well, he read that well. They had been running the little inside give off that look, and then, Strassheim had said, okay, you've got a 6-yard gain earlier, 7-yard gain right after that. He simply trailed the motion. Watch him in his hip pocket. He jumps the route, sees it coming. That was a well-coached young man, smart football player, high IQ as Strassheim just stepped in front. You don't expect him to be there if you're Kuntz. He stayed at home. Sound defensive play right there.
Now taking over on offense, the Irish toss it outside. Here goes Malone, and Austin Malone looking for his second touchdown of the day. And Austin Malone in there for the touchdown. 58 yards on the throw from Dunn for the touchdown.
Well, they've got numbers out here. The quick screen, and watch him just win out here on the edge. Bad angle right there that by Dexter that opens up the crease, and then it's off to the races for Malone. Handling guys out on the perimeter. That's how you get long plays like that.
Right now, it certainly is the Irish rocking the house on top 41-8 with a minute to go and tack on the extra point. And it's now 42-8. Falls City Sacred Heart rolling.
Starting to establish the time of possession gap. And if you're Stuart, you got to continue to play hard, because the minute you take a play off or try to catch a blow, they'll go for 60 on you like they did here.
You see a touchdown. Austin Malone, his second. We'll look at it.
Tough angle. Malone knew where he wanted to go. He saw that crease and got in and out in a hurry.
Well, tonight on NET television, routine traffic stops are turning into big marijuana busts along Nebraska's I-80 in Marijuana Crossroads. NET News explores the growing marijuana industry coming from Colorado and how Nebraska will respond. Marijuana Crossroads airs after the Class B championship game tonight, 10 Central on NET1. Memorial Stadium turf. And it has been all Irish here at Tom Osborne Field. 42-8 with a minute to go. That kick will come up short and a chance for a return. Here's Dvorak out past the 15 to the 20-yard line and shoved out of bounds. And so now Stuart has to find a way here, Damon, to kind of dig deep, find something, get something going, and maybe get a little of that momentum back that they have clearly lost. You saw in the interception after, players not chasing down the ball after the interception, leaving on that last play. Just need to get the fire back.
It would be easy to hang your head, but what you got to remember if you're Stuart is you got here for a reason. You're 11-1. You want to finish this thing off strong and continue to play. You've got another half of football, and you can't go away.
So from the 19-yard line, Kuntz steps up into the pocket. He'll take off. Good gain of 8 or 9 for Kuntz on first down.
The last two drives, they found a way to have some success on first down. It just hasn't yielded any points.
Second down and 1 after a gain of 9.
Going to elect to not take any timeouts either. We've got 1 left. Going to try to get to the half here and regroup.
Inside 30 seconds left here in the first half of play. Thrown out of bounds, stops the clock. That'll bring up 3rd down and 1.
Now you got to decide, do you want to run this thing or throw it? If you throw it and it's incomplete, you're going to have to punt the football. And your return, your kick coverage has been a little shoddy. So find a way to get a yard here on the ground. Keep that clock moving.
3rd and 1, back to throw. Dancing in and out of pressure and then throws it away. That'll bring up 4th down and 1. 14 seconds to go here in the first half of play.
Seconds. Do you take the chance of kicking it? I mean, you have to, but or not.
4th down and 1. 14 seconds to go, and they'll go for it. Finds his man for the catch, spins out of 1 tackle down the near side, far sideline, still in bounds and then steps out to stop the clock with 4 seconds to go. So good completion to Mason Dexter.
Take a look at the replay. Again, a little concept route. You go inside, I'll go outside. He sits down in the zone. The valuable rack yards that we've seen so far today, the guy's ability to run after a short catch.
One final play here in this first half for Stuart. Dropping back is Kuntz. He's under pressure. Pressure by Strassheim. Now pressured again and then sacked. So the pressure from Strassheim led to the sack by Daniel Keithley, number 73, and that will end this first half of play. And it has been dominated by Falls City Sacred Heart, 12-0 on the season. They came in averaging better than 50 points per game, and they have 42 here in half number 1. Let's go down to the field to John.
Well, offensively, Coach, you couldn't have asked for a better start, but then after that, what was it, 5 or 6 straight series where it was 3 and out? What are they doing to you defensively?
Well, they're blitzing us, but we're not picking up who we're supposed to, and we're a little rattled right now. And our big problem is we're getting penalties before we even snap the ball, and our tackling has been not good in the first half, and it showed. Athletic team like that, we got to tackle better and get them on the ground, or else you're going to see the big plays like you saw in the first half.
It looked like you started to get a little bit of a spark there on that second to last drive, throwing the football. Is that going to be more of the strategy in the second half?
Yeah, we're down pretty big, so I think we're going to have to chuck it around a little bit and see if we can get some big plays to get back in the game here.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks very much, John. And once again, it has been all Falls City Sacred Heart. They've done it with offense, defense, special teams, and 2 touchdowns from Austin Malone. They lead it 42-8.
This is NET Television.
High school's almost over. Now what? I wish I knew what to do, or even what I can do. I know I want something more. Something I can be proud of. So, how do I get there?
Take the next step with Education Quest College Planning Services by visiting educationquest.org.
When you've been around for more than a century, you understand the power of generations, the value of nurturing and developing those who will carry on the legacy of agriculture and food production. That's why the Aurora Cooperative helps young people gain the experience, expertise, and wisdom to feed the world, be good stewards, become responsible community leaders, and continue setting the example for the generations that follow. The Aurora Cooperative, growing opportunities.
NET Sports coverage of the 2013 NSAA Football Championships are brought to you in part by the Nebraska Public Power District, the Nebraska Soybean Board, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Nebraska, by Education Quest Foundation, and by the Aurora Cooperative. A big thank you to all our sponsors who help us bring you the best high school athletes from across the state. We couldn't do it without your support. Terrific afternoon here at Memorial Stadium, Class D2 State Championship. It is all Sacred Heart on top, 42-8 in the D2 Championship. Joined now by NSAA Assistant Director Jennifer Schwartz, who's now in charge of volleyball. So tell us about those new responsibilities.
Absolutely. Last year, we celebrated the 40th anniversary of Title IX at our NSAA State Championship, and from there, then the torch was passed to me from NSAA Associate Director Deb Felder. So I hit the ground running, trying to become reacquainted with the sport that I played in college, and then I also coached, but it had changed dramatically, and so spent the spring and the summer talking to coaches and officials from across the state, and then getting ready for the fall season and then the state championship this year.
Speaking of state championships, we had another great weekend of action out in Grand Island with the state championships. Talk about how those went this year.
Absolutely. This was the 4th year that Grand Island had hosted. They do an outstanding job of planning, organizing, and then hosting all of the teams and fans. Great experience for all the kids that had the opportunity to participate. We do appreciate the Grand Island Convention and Visitors Bureau. And then our Grand Island high schools that also hosted us, Grand Island Senior High, Northwest, and Grand Island Central Catholic.
It was great to see a lot of new teams making the championship this year. Kind of spread the wealth around a little bit.
Absolutely. We look forward to, we're obviously moving back to Lincoln in 2014, so we're pretty excited for the opportunity to use the remodeled Devaney Center, the Pinnacle Arena, and then obviously Lincoln Public Schools. So we're looking forward to getting that all ironed out and getting ready for next season.
So we're looking at some of the highlights from the championship Saturday out in Grand Island at the Heartland Event Center in Grand Island. As you mentioned, they do a terrific job, and we're going to take a look at the champions from each class. As you see, this is the Norris match in Class B. Norris went on to win that school's first volleyball championship, which was great to see. A class that has been dominated by so many other teams, Grand Island Northwest and Pius, to name a few, and Norris stepped up and won the state championship. And there is a look at the Class A. It was Marion and Millard West in Class A. Marion, after losing a couple of years in a row to Papillion La Vista South, Marion had an outstanding year this year, and Marion ends up winning the state championship as well. So I know you're coming back now to Lincoln for state volleyball. Have we decided whether we're going to the Pinnacle Bank Arena, the new volleyball, how the structure is going to work? Are you going to split courts? Are you kind of tell us what the plan is?
Well, right now we're kind of out and about talking to people, talking to our member schools, some of our coaches. Our board of directors will obviously make the final decision. We haven't set a date as far as when we will be making that decision, but obviously the Devaney and Pinnacle provide us some expanded opportunities for maybe looking at using multiple courts. But Lincoln Public Schools, who's hosted the state championship before, has always done a great job, and I know our schools really enjoy playing in those facilities too. So we'll see.
Lots yet to come, and there is another state champion being crowned. And let's take a look then at your state champs for the NSAA Volleyball Championships, which were held out in Grand Island. Marion wins Class A. Norris, as we said, took home the title MB. Kearney Catholic wins back-to-back titles in Class C1. Hastings St. Cecilia gets it in C2. O'Neill St. Mary's wins it in D1, and it was Giltner, the Hornets, taking home the title in Class D2. So congratulations on another successful year of high school state volleyball.
Yes, thank you, Larry. I just want to take a minute to send our thanks to NET for their outstanding coverage for our volleyball championships. Joe Turco and Sue Marriott and the crew, and Kathy Wieskamp, and obviously Larry spend a lot of time together on that championship Saturday, so we do appreciate everything that you do for us and the girls.
Well, we appreciate your staff and the outstanding job you do as well, so thanks very much. That's Jennifer Schwartz, NSAA Assistant Director in charge of volleyball. We are at halftime of the Class D2 State Championship. It's 42-8 at the break.
You've been around for more than a century. You understand the power of generations, the value of nurturing and developing those who will carry on the legacy of agriculture and food production. That's why the Aurora Cooperative helps young people gain the experience, expertise, and wisdom to feed the world, be good stewards, become responsible community leaders, and continue setting the example for the generations that follow. The Aurora Cooperative, growing opportunities.
Cheer for your team and be there for all of the excitement. For championship ticket information, visit the Nebraska School Activities Association's website.
The 2013 NSAA High School Football Championships continue tomorrow on NET1. Visit netnebraska.org/sports for your game time or watch a live video stream. NET Television is Nebraska's home for sports.
Back at Memorial Stadium, Class D1 state championship, Sacred Heart on top of Stuart, 42-8 in the D2 title game. Let's take a look at some highlights from half number one, which has seen an awful lot of green hitting pay dirt. All Sacred Heart here in half number one. Stuart comes in at 11-1 overall. Falls City Sacred Heart ranked number one.
You knew it was going to be a tough task coming in here, but you know, I think some of the things I think if you're bothered by, if you're Stuart, are, you know, the penalties are a little bit uncharacteristic. You've got 6 at the half. I don't think that's typically the way that you play football. And they're forced to throw the ball a little bit more than they want to. 6 out of 15 with a pick so far.
Well, here was the big play for the Stuart Broncos. They came out this big 46-yard gainer. Mitch DeVorick takes it inside, and then they hit pay dirt just a couple of plays later on the touchdown by Alex Coons.
Good quarterback right here. Nice little inside handoff.
This was actually the touchdown, Mason Dexter. But then from that point on, it was all number one ranked Sacred Heart.
Yeah, you're going to be green with envy here watching these highlights, but you know, Falls City Sacred Heart doing it a multitude of ways. Here we see the special teams actually being special, setting themselves up in good field position here with the block. And a nice crossing route, just coming wide open, little miscommunication there.
Strassheim's had a big first half. He had the block and that touchdown, and then a great punt return for a touchdown. As you said, they have been special forces for Sacred Heart.
And the guy we've highlighted just had to be the distributor.
Right.
As he's getting by with a lot of help from his friends, and this kid can play. Right here in Keene, he has been awful tough to stop, Mr. Sawyer.
And then one more time, taking it in for the touchdown is Austin Malone, the 6', 165 junior. And that's how we got to this point. And look at the time of possession highlighted at the bottom.
And that's the big deal, because the total yards isn't the huge disparity. I mean, you haven't had the type of efficiency on the ground if you're Stuart, but the time of possession, it leads to fatigue, not only physical, but mental, as they've amassed 222 yards and going 8 of 10 passing. Falls City Sacred Heart has had their way.
8 of 10 passing, as you said. Chaz Dunn has been very efficient on the season. He's completing 73% of his passes. Right in line, he's completing 80% today. And again, 153 yards through the air and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, we looked at that statistic coming in at 73% completion, and
right.
We're thinking to ourselves, how? Right. But then you watch him execute on offense, and now you know why. We asked the wrong question.
222 total yards to 145. Falls City Sacred Heart in command. 42-8 right now is the score at halftime. And so if you're the Stuart Broncos, Damon, and you're now taking over the head coaching job, what do you what if you're Lance Howard, what are you saying in the
I tell you, you don't panic and stay within yourself. You go blind almost. You don't watch what's going on with the scoreboard. You try to maximize and play to the best of your ability. You don't get caught up in point chasing. You try to reestablish that you yourself are the benchmark, meaning you play the best that you can as an individual and let the results be as they may. That's the only way you can really approach this without this thing becoming too overwhelming and too daunting as a player with your back against the wall if you read the scoreboard.
42-8 is the score at halftime. When we come back, we'll hear from Sacred Heart head coach and second half action coming your way right here on NET.
Whether it's spring planting, fall harvesting, or just a drive across the state, soy biodiesel helps a diesel-powered engine operate in a demanding job. Soybean oil from Nebraska soybeans makes biodiesel a renewable fuel that's also environmentally responsible. The soybean checkoff plays a major role in supporting the use and availability of biodiesel. The Nebraska Soybean Board, growing opportunity from the ground up.
It's easy to spot people who participated in high school sports and activities.
Right on time.
They learned important lessons like leadership, teamwork, respect.
Hey, our meeting moved to 10.
We'll be ready.
Values that last a lifetime.
We need to focus on 3 factors.
Support high school sports and activities in your community. When kids take part, they get set for life.
This is NET Television, available in high definition.
During traffic stops, you're finding a lot of more people carrying marijuana back from Colorado through Nebraska.
Given how long marijuana has been completely prohibited, you have to be surprised at how much has changed.
Tonight at 10 Central Time on NET1.
NET Sports coverage of the 2013 NSAA Football Championships are brought to you in part by the Nebraska Public Power District, the Nebraska Soybean Board, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Nebraska, by Education Quest Foundation, and by the Aurora Cooperative. A big thank you to all our sponsors who help us bring you the best high school athletes from across the state. We couldn't do it without your support. Back at Memorial Stadium, halftime, and now with the head coach, here's John Bishop.
Coach, how were you able to make that first drive by Stuart the exception and not the rule to today's game? Because since then, you've shut them down.
Well, we just needed to settle down. I thought that first pass that he just dropped right over us, we had some guys out of position. That got them the short field down there, and they scored. And since then, I think our kids have done a lot better job of defending that. I think it was just a little bit of nerves. We had a few guys get out of position on that play.
Special teams have been important, too. The block punt really kind of solidified the momentum change, then the punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah, we thought we could get something on special teams. We thought maybe we could get in there on the block punt. And then Malone's just a very good athlete that makes a lot of things happen when he gets the ball.
I know you were waiting a long time to coach in this stadium. It was a good first half. Good luck in the second.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, John, and thank you. We appreciate Doug Goltz joining us for a few moments before the second half.
42-8, when you got that kind of lead and your team has played this well in all 3 phases of the game, you can afford to be as relaxed as he was during that interview. You don't often see that type of demeanor in a game of this magnitude, but he's got to feel pretty good about how his team has responded in this state final thus far.
Hey, I want to remind you the new NET Nebraska app is available now for Android and Apple devices. Damon, you can download this right now. Watch live streaming of NSAA High School Championships, Big Red Wrap-Up, player profiles, and so much more. Search the App Store and just search NET Nebraska or visit netnebraska.org/apps and follow NET Sports on the go. Great opportunity.
When we want to see our sometime colleague or
occasional colleague,
good people like John Bishop, we can just watch them on the app.
That's right. Yeah, you can
stream that thing live.
Stream it live. You can watch all kinds of.
Can I answer trivia questions with my app?
I don't know if you could do that. I think that's still an email.
Well, I tell you what, then that rules Bishop out. Look at this guy. These fans are unbelievable.
What is on that forehead? Did you see that?
Hey, we're taking a trek. That is
Mean Green. Love it. Oh, and he's Austin. He's an Austin fan. Austin Malone's had a good first half. Strassheim's had an outstanding first half for
Fainer's has had a great half.
Fainer's been big. And Chaz Dunn has been big in the passing game as well. Hey, I want to remind you this is a great opportunity to log on to facebook.com/NET Sports and like our page. We'd love to have you as part of our social media conversation on Facebook. Those guys right there checking out the scores.
Where would we be without our phones, LP?
20 years ago is where we'd be.
Remember the do you have a quarter days? Do you have a quarter?
I remember the dime days, Damon. You know, the dime, yeah.
I'll leave that to you. I don't know anything about that.
Drop a dime in the payphone. Yeah. All right, so now to kick it off.
That just makes you savvy, mature. That's
right. Trevor Rumm to kick it off, kick deep, and he'll be kicking off to Falls City Sacred Heart. Keene and Arnold back deep, this taken right at the goal line. Back up the middle goes Sawyer Keene. Keene out to the 25-yard line, so that's where Sacred Heart Irish will take over.
This is a rare position to be in a game of this stature this late in the season, but Falls City Sacred Heart a point away from a running clock. 35 or more, that clock will not stop during time of play. Stuart playing for pride now.
Doug Goltz took over a Falls City Sacred Heart team about 27 years ago that was 0-8. In his first year as a head coach, he led them into the playoffs, and he has not missed since. That's a wide open toss right over the middle to Jared Fainer, and Fainer into Stuart territory, and they pick off right where they left off.
Yeah, I asked how hard would it be if when you're playing well where the whole playbook is open to you, and right off the bat we see it. And I tell you, if he throws that over the inside shoulder, the big fella might, shades of Muhammad Ali, rumble young man, rumble young man rumbles. It's only fitting that he gets a big catch too. I mean, he has played well up front.
Ball at the 25 now after the 31-yard gain from Dunn to Fainer. Now to give up the middle. Here's Sawyer Keene. Keene on his feet. Keene will carry it in. 2 plays and pay dirt for this Irish offense.
Yeah. What you see what Falls City Sacred Heart is doing, the big splits, widening wide receivers, getting guys out of the box and then playing from the guard area to the guard area. Nice little trap block, little inside give, quick hitter. Tell you, the versatility in their playbook is admirable. I'm over here learning on the fly.
Carl Labidas back in again to try the extra point, and it has been just a dominating performance by this Sacred Heart team. Extra point up and good. And now at 49-8, as you said, Damon, it's a 41-point differential, and so we will see a running clock throughout the rest of this half unless it gets back inside of 35 points. And there's the numbers for Sawyer Keene: 11 carries, 74 yards, including that last touchdown for Sawyer Keene, averaging just over 6.5 per carry.
Some of these YPCs we've seen today have been nothing short of gaudy. 6, 7, 8. Yeah. You'll see a guy tomorrow night that's around 10.
Right. Let's go down to the field to third member of our broadcast crew, John Bishop.
You know, guys, you were talking right before that kickoff about playing for pride. One thing you're also playing for is a little bit of experience. We talked at the beginning of the broadcast how there's only one senior on this team, Trevor Ram. In addition, there's only 6 juniors. So of the 17 players on this roster, you have 11 guys who are either freshmen or sophomores. So there's a good chance this team can be back in position to be right back here next year. The last thing you want is to have a game like this, and I know it's a long time between the end of this game and the beginning of next season, but you don't want that carrying over into the fall workouts and right on into next season. So this is a big half for this Stuart team, especially these freshmen and sophomores.
Well put, JB. That's a big deal because you want the kids coming away with something they feel good about. There's going to be the obvious motivation. Hey, we got there before, we didn't get there again. But you want to build some sort of confidence and have something good to build on as opposed to, hey, at least we got there.
So back onto the field now is that Stuart Bronco offense led by their junior quarterback, Alex Kuntz, one of those underclassmen. Look at them up front, even, Damon. If you look at their front 6 defensively and offensively, those 6 starters, of those, 3 are sophomores, 2 juniors. So a lot coming back for this Stuart Bronco team. Is a nice completion to Micah Dexter, who picks up a first down.
I tell you what, between, you got Mitchell Dvorak and Mason Dexter and Micah Dexter. I mean, just these young guys feeling their way along. Hadn't had a ton of success until this year. You were 4-4 a year ago building. It's when you get to winning championships, it's one building block at a time to get to that championship level foundation.
Kuntz now back to pass, dances around, avoids pressure, lobs it out there for the completion, and he finds Schmatter with the completion.
That's a great catch, too. I thought he had stepped out of bounds. I saw him camping out by the numbers for 4 times. We take a look at the replay. So he's got the second level drag. Nope, stayed in bounds. Hands catch. Looks long down there wearing that deuce deuce.
Tate Schmatter, another underclassman. He's just a sophomore, 5'9", 145. Here's Kuntz with the carry. Kuntz got outside, got a block, kept his feet inside the 20, down to the 15-yard line.
I tell you, one thing I really like about Alex Kuntz is he finishes runs. He's what we call a heavy runner, constantly falling forward. Little quarterback sweep, the nice cut up. See, he's good when he gets those shoulders vertical going north and south. Look at him finish this run. One quarterback to another. I got you, he says. Chaz done on the tackle.
Ball now at the 16-yard line after the 20-yard pickup by Alex Kuntz. Now to give.
Now we've seen flashes of this in terms of being scripted, how they want to start the beginning of the game, the successful drive, how they're starting the second half, another successful drive. They've shown flashes, they've just lacked the consistency. This is when it starts to get tough, though. The closer you get to that end zone. The more Fall City Sacred Heart's neck starts to bow. Now they're bringing pressure.
Under pressure again.
I like the way that they have, they're kind of morphing a little bit. I'm learning about the nuances between different levels. I like
Here's Alex Kuntz now on 3rd down and 7 to go. 4 down territory without a doubt. He goes up top, little flip out in the flat. And incomplete. That'll bring up 4th down.
And in typical fashion, this seems to be where it has bogged down for them.
I talked to head coach Lance Howell before the game about his quarterback, Alex Kuntz.
Alex is kind of what makes our offense go. Very competitive kid, and has had 1,600 yards rushing, about 1,100 yards passing. He's thrown 17 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions. So he is, in the solid offense we run, Alex is really important to the things we try to do.
And incomplete on 4th and 7. Intended for Tate Schmatter. Through his hands and incomplete, and they'll turn it over on downs.
Interesting to see them choose to roll him. And he's done this quite a bit tonight, where he rolls to his right, being a left-handed quarterback. Not afraid to go to either direction. He's obviously comfortable in doing so.
Doug Goltz's team will take over. They said they needed to limit the big plays, keep Kuntz in check, play well on special teams, and I think you can say to those three, check, check, and check.
Yeah, they have been extremely complete in all 3 phases, which is another sign of a well-coached football team.
Batted down at the line of scrimmage. Getting the hand up there and knocking it away.
Stuart still trying to battle here.
Micah Dexter with the tip. We talked a lot about Falls City Sacred Heart not being down here at Memorial Stadium after that long stretch in which they won, what was it, 6 consecutive state championships, but they were beaten by the eventual state champion in the playoffs in 96, 97, 99, 2000, 2001, 2003, by the team that eventually went on to win a state title. So this is a program that's been relevant for quite some time and continuing to be relevant here today. This offense has been outstanding today for Sacred Heart. We talked with Doug Goltz about his offense.
I think the biggest strength is that we're really balanced. We don't rely on one player. We're able to spread the ball around to our athletes. We run quite a bit of spread offense, and we're able to get the ball out in space to guys like Colin Niemeyer and Sawyer Kane, Austin Malone, Sean Strassheim, and Logan Scheidel. And I think it's made us difficult to defend this year.
Give up the middle here. Sawyer Keene again. Keene on the outside, up the sideline, and out of bounds. I think he took a look to his left to see if anybody was there. Didn't realize where he was, and by the time he corrected, stepped right on the end line.
The one guy that has had good success in bringing him down has been the sideline here. Look at this.
A little peek there. Peek. Oh, wait, I'm too close.
Yeah, you know, you've done that. I know you like to sometimes, unfortunately, text while you drive. You look down, and all of a sudden you're hearing the bumper sound from your tires.
I'm sorry. With my kids listening to him, we don't even joke about it. No texting when we drive.
Much like that NET app, you have downloaded safe texting as well.
Absolutely.
Attaboy.
Tossed out on the outside. Malone again. Austin Malone makes it 3 touchdowns on the day for Austin Malone.
He is hard to handle in the open field. He's got good pad level, plays with good leverage, and these guys just aren't getting low enough on the big fella. Take a look at it again. It's another quick screen. They just want to get him the ball out in space. Let his guys on the edges. Fortunately, coming in high, doing the tackle. Feiner, not a surprise with the cleanup block.
The Irish just keep pouring it on now. 55 points for this Sacred Heart offense. And a busy day. Harla beat us. Extra point is good again. Offensive output has been impressive not only today but throughout the season for Sacred Heart. Scored 74 in a game against Deschler.
Look at these guys went out here on the edge. Everybody's locked up. Feiner getting out, pulling. He breaks one tackle. That's basically what it is out there on the quick screen. My guy against your guy, mano a mano. Advantage Malone right there.
Points allowed, or points scored by one team. The state record in 2012, 90. A lot of ways to go.
At least you hope so.
That's a single game team record in the playoffs. Giltner scored 90 last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, they were explosive too, if you remember those guys.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many guys Falls City Sacred Heart has on their sidelines compared to Stuart. I mean, numbers out for football, this is staggering for 8-man.
Back down on the field with John Bishop.
You know, before the game, you could just watching these two teams, you can see the difference in the experience level, but especially in the athletes. There are so many guys. In fact, they were talking about it on the Stuart side of the field, that you look at these guys, and many of them were the same guys that you saw in track and field, you see in basketball, and they're just really good athletes. And that last hit, you saw Austin Malone, he got a good pop on the sideline, but he's got about 15 to 20 more pounds on the Stuart defenders, and that really does make the difference. But you can definitely tell the difference in athletes down here, and the experience doesn't hurt as well. A lot more seniors.
Eventually, at this stage of the game, you know you're in the middle of the third quarter. Simple physics starts to take over, that X's and O's can't compensate for. If I'm bigger, stronger, and
faster, yep.
That eventually shows itself.
Good gain of 6 there on first down. Over the middle, wide open. Pulled in and caught into Irish territory on the grab. Mason Dexter with the catch on the throw from Alex Kuntz.
A 22-yard gain there. A little corner route. A little too much hang time. You get him in stride. He's still off and running. That's one of those put it on him throws. Good job of bringing that one in, though, for Dexter. That was a little tougher than I originally thought watching it live.
Into the Irish territory. Still on his feet.
Well, that's a good job of Malone. This doesn't sound right after a 13 or 14-yard game, but for Malone to get off that block, he's the only guy out there that can make that play. You know, it's 14 yards down the field, but boy, that is tough with such a short porch in 8-man to turn the corner and play with leverage out there on those zone sweeps.
Good gain by Dvorak. Brings up 1st and 10 now. Ball at the 20. Make it 21. It's pressured again. Finds Dvorak.
He acknowledged him as if to say, almost good shot, nice catch.
Good grab.
How tight is that window? Oh. Fortunate that whistle was clear of contact. Still got his nice chiclets. Well played.
Gain of 6 makes it 2nd and 4 now. The Stuart Bronco team last 3 years has made it into the quarterfinals of the playoffs. Finally broke through this year. Look at the dancing by Kuntz, kept alive, puts his shoulder pad down and gets a first down to the 5-yard line. So tough running there by Alex Kuntz.
Boy, he is something else. He bought himself some time, and you know, Stuart, you know, Tate Schmatter was wide. Oh, he was doing jumping jacks at the back line of the end zone, but you know, Kuntz is fighting for his life, trying to make plays. He didn't see double twos down there.
First down, goal to go from the 5. Kuntz will follow his blockers around the right side, and Kuntz in there for the touchdown.
Oh, that's a gutty drive. Gritty, gutty drive right there.
Alex Kuntz on the 5-yard carry for the touchdown, and it's now time for a 2-point conversion try for the Broncos.
Put together scoring drive. 6-play, 68-yarder. Found a way to work 3 minutes off the clock.
Kuntz looks in zone, gets rid of it at the back, and a little bit too tall for Schmatter. Tate Schmatter, the intended receiver. One more look at the touchdown carry by Alex Kuntz.
Finding a way to get to the edge. He can put his head down and find the pylon. He sees it.
They're 56-14 in this D2 championship. Well, Thursday night on NET, Pioneers of Television follows superheroes over the years. This would be a good one.
Are you on there?
Well, in the more recent times, yes.
Who would you be if you were a superhero?
Well, Superman in the 50s, Batman in the 60s, Wonder Woman in the 70s. They all fought villains, rescued the innocent, and became role models. Watch Pioneers of Television, Thursday night, 7 Central on NET1. It's easy, David. If I were a superhero, I would follow, you would be Aquaman.
No. I would be like Black Lightning. Come on now. I mean, we had Wonder Woman in the 70s. Equal opportunity PC here.
Look like Aquaman to me.
Yeah, contrary to popular belief, I can swim. Yeah, I said it.
Oh, my kids know, and they've known for a while. I am Superman.
That's what you've been telling me.
That's right. On the return. Once again, nice return by Austin Malone. I'm sorry, make that Sawyer Keene with the return that time.
Well, he's got a gaudy YPC too. He's at 13 for $107, a long of 25. He's averaging 8.2 a touch. That doesn't count the receptions or his touches in the return game. Averaging well over a first down per touch in this football game.
So offense back out there once again for the Irish. Chaz Dunn under center. He'll go back to the air. Dunn looks up top's got a man just through the hands. About the only thing
so he's human.
That Malone hasn't done right today.
Malone is human. I was beginning to wonder. We were speaking of superheroes. Is he making an appearance on the show next week for Superman?
Green Lantern.
Oh, well played. Look at that, over the shoulder. That was tough, but one he'd like to have back. I like that Green Lantern reference. I knew you weren't your age. That gray is pepper.
There's Doug Goltz looking on. On the option outside to Keene. Keene stacked up right at the 30-yard line for a gain of 1 or 2 yards. That'll bring up 3rd down and 8 for the Irish. A little more pep in that Broncos step right now. Good tackle out there on the edge. Trevor Rumm.
This time of possession starting to get away from get away from Fall City Sacred Heart. But when you have that type of quick strike offense, Stuart having the ball almost 23 minutes is irrelevant.
4th quarter coming your way. Right now, it's all Sacred Heart. Irish on top. 56-14.
It's everything. Having someone to watch your back. To make things better, safer. As we get closer to the 2014 deadline to buy health insurance, rely on Blue. We'll help you navigate the new healthcare law and make smart choices for you and your family. Call or visit us at the Blue Store at nebraskablue.com. It's time. Find what you need. We've got your back. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska.
Participating in Nebraska high school activities has taught me about teamwork.
I've learned how to lead among my peers.
At my high school, I have set goals and I work hard to accomplish them.
I like to run on my cross country team. It makes me feel good about myself.
Thank you, Nebraska, for your support of the Nebraska School Activities Association.
Back at Memorial Stadium, beginning of the 4th quarter in the Class D2 state championship. On 3rd and 8, over the middle, great grab across the middle and complete for a first down to Colin Niemeyer. Niemeyer, 710 yards receiving on the year, 10 touchdowns. Pulls one in there on 3rd down.
Yeah, good pitch and catch right here. And I know there's a fine line. I know there might be some folks at home saying, why is Fall City continuing to throw the ball? But remember, these kids have earned the right to be here. This is a big stage. This is the state finals. You only get to do this once. You guys, it's a fine line between being a good sport and allowing your kids to be who they are in the moment.
Complete on 3rd down and 8, brings up 1st and 10 into Stuart territory. Now on the option, pitched outside. Here's Keene with it. Keene enough for the first down inside the 25-yard line down to the 23. A gain of 12 on the carry and another first down.
That's probably somewhere under his yards per touch this game as he gets ripped off the 12-yard carry. He's a versatile player. They line him up a lot of different places. He's a big play guy.
Into the game now for Sacred Heart comes Logan Scheidel is into the game, number 34. First down and 10. Looking to the end zone and over the head of Sean Strassheim. That'll bring up 2nd down now for Sacred Heart.
You know, truth be told, too, if you kind of look at it in terms of the play's effectiveness, in Fall City Sacred Heart averaging over 8 yards per carry. And so it might be being a better sport to be throwing the ball as opposed to running it, because your ground game has been so efficient.
Very strong senior class here on this Sacred Heart team.
I mean, you got to figure the clock is going to run regardless.
Yep.
Clock is not slow. A tight formation.
A little throwback to the quarterback. Finds him wide open. Chaz Dunn pulled down.
All right, that one's going to be hard for me to explain. that one might be a little hard to explain
You
for
saw
our folks
the look.
at home.
Is that what it was?
Yes, they did just do a throwback to the quarterback as we take a look at the replay here up 56-14. And see, Malone does have an S on his chest because that was on the money. Not sure there's not much that guy can't do.
8 of 8 on the play will bring up 3rd down and 2.
Actually, what a good job of recognition by Stuart, in particular Alex Coons, to get back there and see that.
Give up the middle to Keene. Very close to a first, and walk in and take a look, and he says 1st down.
Is it safe to say that Fall City Sacred Heart has emptied the playbook in terms of their formations and things that they can do? We heard Coach talk earlier about them being able to do a multitude of things. We have seen 2-back, we've seen 1-back, we've seen quarterback run game, we've seen inside zone, outside zone, the pitch and catch game. This is a complete football team. Yeah, we're just missing a flea flicker.
Well, be careful what you ask for. Here comes Keene on the end around, and Keene in for the touchdown. So Sawyer Keene with another touchdown, 62-14. Irish dominating here in this state championship.
Yeah, okay, so maybe now we've seen the full repertoire. The double reverse. Look at that. I'm telling you, when you're up 56-14, it gives you the confidence to call and run plays like that, because you're rewarding yourself for the things that you put in throughout the course of the season that you want to see work.
Harlabetis back in now to kick the extra point. And Yanni Harlabetis is good. He's knocked through 9 of those today.
And we take a look at the replay. You got option action, the reverse backside, and would Keene do anything else other than get up the field immediately? He cuts that thing up, squares the shoulders. Good tailback, takes good care of the football going in.
134 yards rushing for Sawyer Keene and a couple of touchdowns on 17 carries. Well, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email. Let us know what you think about our coverage of the NSAA high school football or volleyball championships. If you value this statewide NET television and broadcast, let us know. And also let our sponsors know by writing to sports@netnebraska.org. We certainly want to say thank you for watching the NSAA football championships on NET1. We heard from some viewers. We want to thank you for writing in. Jamie Klein says, thank you for covering state championship games on TV, both my alma mater, which is Hemingford, and current hometown York, playing for championships today. She has a newborn at home, can't be here, and is thrilled to be at home and watching from her living room. She says it's a blessing, and thanks very much.
We appreciate her viewing. 17 for $134. 8 per. Goodness. Sawyer Keene.
Harlabetis boots it away. High kick. It'll be taken at the 1-yard line. Returned by Schmatter. Schmatter out past the 10, about the 13 or 14-yard line. That's where the Broncos will take over.
Sun starting to set as the lights kick in here at Memorial Stadium. Beautiful scene. Will be perfect for tonight's contest in Class B. Hopefully the wind will die down here a little bit.
Let's go down on the field to John.
Well, you know, one of the unusual things that we've seen in this game is that there's actually a kicker. Most of the time we watch these 8-man 1, 8-man 2 games, and teams go for the 2-point conversion because kicking is just a lost art at this level. But Haralabides has an interesting story. His family is Greek, as you might be able to tell by the name, but they run a restaurant there in Falls City. His dad plays some club soccer, and Yanni plays some club soccer with him. Of course, there's not soccer at the Class D level in high school, so he takes out his kicks literally on the football field. He is getting some attention for scholarships. At least some of the smaller schools here in the state are looking at him. He doesn't look very big, but he certainly does put the toe into the ball.
Hammer. I believe he's only failed to get one or 2 kickoffs short of the end zone.
Kuntz now on 2nd down and 5 to his left. Throws it away. It'll bring up 3rd down. As the clock continues to tick here, even on an incomplete pass. Might have heard Damon mention earlier. 35-point differential, and we have a running clock.
Unfortunately, I've been on the receiving and giving end of one of those, so it happens. Third and manageable still here. 3rd and 5. Anytime you got a guy like Kuntz at quarterback, it is definitely doable.
Ball tipped at the line of scrimmage and incomplete, brings up 4th down. Well, it was a pretty good fall season for the Stuart Broncos. You know, they hadn't won a state championship, ever been to a state football final. This their first ever, but the girls volleyball team also making it to the finals this year. In fact, they played on Saturday, and the following Monday, the boys won in the semifinal game against Amherst and made it to this state championship game.
Big time punt right there.
Yes, it was. Out at about the 23-yard line. I want to remind you our question for our Class D2 trivia. It's time now for the answer to our trivia question. We ask you, Falls City Sacred Heart holds the record for the longest winning streak in 8-man football from 1989 to 95. What was the consecutive streak? What number? Well, Gabe Skalka from Sutton, Nebraska knew the answer. He knew that it was 87 consecutive wins by Sacred Heart. So congratulations to Gabe. You've won a t-shirt on its way.
87, that was on the tip of my tongue. Wasn't it on yours?
It was. It was on my sheet in front.
I wouldn't expect you to be any other way except honest. I knew you wouldn't even.
Give up the middle.
Now that's conventional. Was that?
Yep.
That was a 2-back, double tight, fullback dive.
I believe that was Kirkendall with the carry. Noah Keller, freshman, now into the game.
Get some experience. Hey, what was that play again?
5'10", 135 freshman. Getting a little experience here in the state championship game. Tossed outside. Spinning away from that was number 27, Henry Arnold, a sophomore running back, 162. Great opportunity as Doug Goltz puts in some of the reserves.
I'm still waiting for Coach Golt's expression to change. He looks about the same as when we started as to when he was in warm-ups as to this point in time now. Steady Eddie. She sees some celebratory hugs starting. Still 4 minutes to play.
3rd down here. Toss back again to Arnold. Arnold spins out of one tackle, leans forward across the 35-yard line, and a 1st down for Henry Arnold. Good-looking sophomore, 6 foot, 165.
He looked long coming out of the back end of that spin move. We typically like to leave those tops at home, but Arnold found a way to make it work, especially in traffic. It gets kind of hectic.
Wyatt Martin now into the game. Noah Keller still in there at quarterback. Toss out to Arnold. Over the left side, Arnold breaks a tackle, spins out of another one, still on his feet. Good, nifty moves by the sophomore, Henry Arnold.
Little crazy legs Hirsch and Arnold. Doesn't give you much to hit. elbows and knees. Got the little tight spin move. Student body right, student body left here down the stretch with a little over 3 to play for the Irish.
Second down and short. We'll call it 1. Give up the middle. Arnold, a lot of room to run. Still on his feet inside the 30, down to the 28-yard line. For Henry Arnold. Olsen on the tackle.
Boy, young, just a sophomore, that, as you mentioned, 160-pounder. 6-footer.
Logan Olsen, the junior. Give again to Arnold over on that right side. Drug out of bounds. Austin Moore, the freshman, 6 foot 200 pounds from Stuart on the tackle.
Yeah, good size for a freshman. 6 foot 200. You got in the water out there in Stuart. I need a little of that.
As Coach Gold's turning with his back to the field because he's keeping an eye on the water jug.
Yeah, it's awful cold, man. I don't do it to him.
Okay, you got to be all about that.
I would be mad. I'd go Saban on you. Gatorade's an awful sticky. No,
Noah Keller with the keeper there.
There's few things that are worse than being cold. Being wet is one of them. So can you imagine being cold and wet?
It's all worth it.
I don't know.
Good carry, Arnold. Inside the 10 now, down to the 8-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd down and short for the Irish.
Steady diet by Arnold, too. He can tell his family and friends, hey, remember that drive.
Franklin Fessler, number 36 on the tackle. Fessler, just a freshman. Franklin Fessler, the freshman, with the tackle.
Say that fast.
Third and short. Arnold gets it. Off that right side. That's not Arnold. Make it Cameron Barker. And Cameron Barker, the freshman.
Again, playing time and experience. Something for both teams to build on here as they're emptying the bench. And if you're Stuart, not a lot of wiggle room. You're dressing 17. You're playing 8 at a time.
End of the game now is Josh Freschel, the sophomore tight end. On 1st and goal and taking a knee is Noah Keller, and that will run out the clock. And Falls City Sacred Heart, for the first time at Memorial Stadium, wins a state championship.
Pretty complete effort when you talk about all 3 facets of the game in terms of offense, defense, and special teams. And then a further extension of that, good against the pass. They were good against the run. They were good throwing the rock and good running it as well. A very complete Falls City Sacred Heart team.
Irish did just about everything, and they will take home the trophy. Seventh state championship for Falls City Sacred Heart. When we come back, they'll get the trophy.
Whether it's spring planting, fall harvesting, or just a drive across the state, soy biodiesel helps a diesel-powered engine operate in a demanding job. Soybean oil from Nebraska soybeans makes biodiesel a renewable fuel that's also environmentally responsible. The soybean checkoff plays a major role in supporting the use and availability of biodiesel. The Nebraska Soybean Board, growing opportunity from the ground up.
When you've been around for more than a century, you understand the power of generations, the value of nurturing and developing those who will carry on the legacy of agriculture and food production. That's why the Aurora Cooperative helps young people gain the experience, expertise, and wisdom to feed the world, be good stewards, become responsible community leaders, and continue setting the example for the generations that follow. The Aurora Cooperative, growing opportunities.
Over the years, the Nebraska Chiropractic Physicians Association has supported many Nebraska athletes by helping them excel physically. But the mental game is just as important. That's why we're pleased to sponsor the NSAA Academic All-State Award Program, recognizing students and athletes who shine in the classroom and as leaders. We're proud to team up with these exceptional individuals. Together we can continue to make Nebraska a great place to live, learn, and play.
NET Sports coverage of the 2013 NSAA Football Championships are brought to you in part by the Nebraska Public Power District, the Nebraska Soybean Board, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Nebraska, by Education Quest Foundation, and by the Aurora Cooperative. A big thank you to all our sponsors who help us bring you the best high school athletes from across the state. We couldn't do it without your support. Congratulations to Falls City Sacred Heart, the Class D2 state champs. And now for the medal and trophy presentations, let's go to our public address announcer. Here's Doc Weiniger.
The Nebraska School Activities Association is honored to have medals and trophies for both of these outstanding teams. The award presentations will be made by NSAA Board of Directors Jay Beller from Battle Creek, Dr. Jerry Barty from Omaha Public Schools, U.S. Bank Representative Sean Stugard, and NSAA Executive Director Rhonda Blanford Green. Here are the awards for Class D2 runner-up Stuart High School. Will head coach Lance Howitt and your assistants please present the silver medals to the members of your team. Players, as your name is called, please come forward to receive your medal. Number 1, Chase Broders. Number 2, Mitchell Dvorak. Number 7, Alex Coons. Number 9, Mason Dexter. Number 10, Austin Moore. Number 12, Micah Dexter. Number 22, Tate Schmatter. Number 25, Cale Creasel. Number 27, Connor Paxton. Number 29, Trevor Rom. Number 30, Andrew Olson. Number 35, Matthew Dicka. Number 36, Franklin Fessler. Number 48, Patrick Van Meter. Number 51, Slater Swanson. Number 55, Logan Olson. Number 77, Christopher Van Meter. And now, here is the 2013 Class D2 runner-up trophy. Congratulations, Stuart High School.
So a great season for Stuart. The Broncos come in 11-1, finished the season 11-2 and runners-up. And, you know, we heard Lance Howitt say earlier, just to be at this point, they may not have expected it. A very young team coming off of last year. They only had 12 players out for football last year. They have 17 players out. So to come down here to Memorial Stadium, play for a state championship, a terrific season for Stuart.
Yeah, absolutely, and you got a chance to get a taste of what it's going to take if you want to put the building blocks together to be a championship caliber program, it's definitely something that they can build on.
So Stuart finishes the state runner-up, an 11-2 record. And a lot to build on, a lot of underclassmen, as we said before, just one senior on that Stuart team. And there's head coach Lance Howard as they get ready to take that runner-up trophy picture here at Memorial Stadium. Terrific moment for those young men finishing second in Class D2. So now time for the medal and trophy presentation for the champs. Let's go back to Doc Weiner.
Sacred Heart High School. First, head coach Doug Goltz. We have a special award for you. Now, Coach, would you and your assistants please present the gold medals to the members of your championship team. Players, as your name is called, please come forward to receive your medal. Number 3, Colin Niemeyer. Number 7, Cameron Jordan. Number 9, Bailey Witt. Number 13, Yanni Harlabides. Number 14, Austin Malone. Number 17, Cameron Barker. Number 18, Emerson Keithley. Number 21, Sawyer Kane. Number 22, Noah Keller. Number 25, Austin Ahern. Number 27, Henry Arnold. Number 29, Logan Matten. Number 34, Logan Scheidel. Number 35, Chaz Dunn. Number 40, Sean Strassheim. Number 42, Zavin Kirkendall. Number 44, Jared Figner. Number 45, Brandon Schwang. Number 50, Sam Arnold. Number 52, Nick Aitken. Number 56, Dalton Witt. Number 64, Nathan Bird. Number 66, Bryant Jorn. Number 68, Eli Raymer. Number 71, Robert Olberding. Number 73, Daniel Keithley. Number 80, Michael Keithley. Number 82, Joshua Freschel. Number 85, Reggie Johansson. Number 88, Wyatt Martin. Number 90, Ben Mullins. Now presenting the team champion game ball from Farmers Mutual Insurance, Chairman and CEO Byron Boslow, to head coach Doug Goltz. And now for these outstanding athletes in their school, here is the 2013 Class D2 State Football Championship Trophy. Congratulations, Fall City Sacred Heart High School.
So congratulations to Falls City Sacred Heart, their first state championship here at Memorial Stadium, their 7th state championship overall, and also the 7th state title for head coach Doug Goltz. Congratulations once again to the Irish, who were really dominant in their performance.
Oh, they were. Again, we talked about it. Complete effort. I mean, offense, defense, special teams, and then the play within each of those units. Run defense, pass defense, passing offense, rush offense. Very balanced, very complete.
Terrific performance by their quarterback Chaz Dunn. Sawyer Keene was outstanding. Their running back Austin Malone, 3 total touchdowns, 2 receiving, 1 on that big punt return. Just a great performance by that group of young men who win the school's first title here at Memorial Stadium.
It says something about the fan base and those alumni folks in Falls City who are so used to having success in championships, knowing that Coach Goltz has earned some goodwill between, you know, 94 season and 2013. For a lot of people, they don't get that kind of extended leeway when you have reached that type of pinnacle of success.
Folks from Falls City well represented today here at Memorial Stadium. Not leaving yet, waiting for the pictures out at midfield and the congratulatory hugs that will soon follow. Look at offensively what they were able to do. 449 total yards for Falls City Sacred Heart.
Well, you take a look at the distribution, not only between the carries but receptions. You got a 3-2-2-2-2. Shiloh, Niemeyer, you know, Feiner, Sawyer. Guys, they just share the football. It's a balanced offense and extremely multiple.
Congratulations as Falls City Sacred Heart wins the state title, goes to 13-0. They came in the #1 ranked team, #1 seeded team, and they walk away the #1 team in the state.
They held up their end of it.
Let's go down to the field to John Bishop. John?
All right, holding the championship trophy. First off, Austin, 3 big plays today, 3 touchdowns. Talk about them.
It was blocking was the main play. And Coach gave me the ball, and I tried to do what I could do with it.
What's it mean to win a state title?
It's just a great feeling. Hard work pays off, and just indescribable.
And Chaz, I know you guys have been through a lot. Seniors have been through an awful lot to win this state title for Coach and to continue the legacy. It's been a long time for this school.
Yeah, it means the most for Coach Goltz here. We've been through 4 years of, he coaches all 3 sports for us, and it means the most for him since '94. So I'm so proud that I could be the senior on his state championship team. That's what means the most to me.
Coach, he just mentioned it. You coach all 3 sports. You've won a lot of championships, 500 wins in basketball, closing in on 300 in football. What's this title mean to you, winning it here at this stadium?
Well, in football, we've been close a lot of times these last 19, 20 years. But this year's team was just so determined. A lot of good skill players, a lot of kids that stepped up that hadn't really played last year, and then we got a lot of experience back too. So it's just special. I can't be happier for our seniors, the junior playmakers like Austin and Sawyer and Logan and Zavin. It's just been a great season.
Coach, congratulations, and another trophy to add to a big trophy case.
Thank you. We're really proud of the kids.
That trophy case just keeps growing down at Sacred Heart. That is now 7 state championships. The first, though, as you heard John say, since 1994, in which they finished up that streak of 6 consecutive state championships and 87-game winning streak in there as well.
Impressive. I don't know if it's reinventing himself or a new group of kids, but 19 years in between titles within a sport is nothing short of amazing, right?
So an outstanding job by Falls City Sacred Heart. They win the state championship. Once again, our final score, 63-14. The Irish knock off the Broncos and win the school's 7th state championship. Once again, 63-14, the final. Reminder, coming up tonight, the Class B state championship game is York goes for the state title, taking on Scott. We'll have
That'll
that tonight
be a good one.
at 7 o'clock right here on NET. For John Bishop, Damon Bidding, I'm Larry Putney, and for the entire NET Sports production crew, thanks for joining us. We'll see you later tonight, right back here on NET.
Bull City, Sacred Heart Heights.